Well, good morning. Hope those of you that joined us in person enjoyed the live music and the Dolly Parton lookalike. So we are glad you are here with us. To those of you joining us via Zoom, welcome. We're glad you're here. I think for us, one of the most exciting things about this is that we just get to be in the same room with many of our customers. So we're really excited about that. My name is Matt Davis. I'm part of the TaxAct professional marketing team. On behalf of the entire TaxAct professional team, we just want to say thank you, and we're honored that you're here. So today we're going to talk about what's new in the software. We're going to talk about bank products, and then we're also going to visit with our Avantax team and talk about wealth management strategies that you can help your clients with. So today you'll hear from Jake Etheridge, who is a senior UX designer. He's going to talk specifically about what's new in the software for TY22. Following Jake, Mary Barricart and Elvis Medica with Avantax will talk about stepping into wealth management on your terms. After Mary and Elvis, Sarah Crouch, our bank product expert, will be joined by representatives from Republic Bank and TPG to talk about bank products and how they benefit both you and your customers. New to this year, after all these presentations, we're going to bring all of our presenters up. They're going to be up here, and we're going to have an open Q&A time, just as you have gone through the sessions and you think about additional questions that you may want to ask. And then to close out the day, Nairi Sarkisian, one of our TaxAct professional champions, is going to walk through how to complete a return in the software. Just a couple of housekeeping items to note. We are going to record today's event, and it will be available to you in the coming days. And then we'll do our best to answer all the questions after each session, still giving you a little time between each break. For those of you on Zoom, if you have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jake.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Ooh, I'm loud now. That's great. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day so far. Hopefully you've got, either a margarita or you've got a delicious plate of Mexican food in your system now. I thought it was a great lunch. I had a lovely conversation with Mary, Lacey, and Gigi actually during lunch. And I just love getting to nerd out about tax preparation, which I tell people about that, and they usually go, "Hey, Jake, that sounds really dorky." But I love it. It's one of my favorite things. As the senior UX designer here, part of the team, one of my favorite things to do is to speak to users and to speak to tax preparers. A little bit about me. My background is in the nonprofit world. And because of that, I try to, I think, have a superpower of empathy whenever I speak to users. I'm always trying to figure out what makes you tick. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What makes your blood boil? What makes you go, yes, this is good. Life is good. And we all know we say that right at the end of tax season. We're like, I asked someone one time, I said, what's the best part about tax season? She said, when it's over. And I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. So I just love getting to speak with individuals like yourself. And so today, throughout our time together in between sessions, if you see me, don't hesitate to come on up and just be like, hey, can I pick your brain on something? Or can I share an experience with you I had with the software or with the similar software, anything like that? I won't turn you away. I nerd out about it. I get so excited. Also, this says Jacob. We are friends now, so you can call me Jake. So if you see me in between sessions, you can call me Jake. But with that, I think it's important that we kind of set the ground rules here that we had a successful season thus far. You know what? Give yourself a round of applause, guys. You did it. If I'm reading the calendar correctly, it's May. And so we made it. We got through the majority of the season. I'm curious, show of hands, how many of you have clients who are doing extensions? Yep, that's what I thought. I got the chance to speak to several users this last week, and they told me, they're like, man, the number of extended filers this season is crazy. I don't know if that's because, I don't know if you've been aware of the last few years, but this is our first semi-normal tax season, I think, right? The last several years, it's been extended to like basically August, it feels like. And then there was another time in May. And so, as much as I wish I could blame people, I'm one of those people that I looked up and realized, oh my gosh, my taxes are due in a week, But the good news is you are here. You made it. I want to say congratulations. That is not an easy feat. Now it's time to treat yourself. So take care of yourself, okay? What I want to do today is I want to talk about the future, but before we talk about the future, let's look back for a moment, okay? I think there's a few really key things to look back this last year with TaxAct Professional that, I believe in celebrating wins and also kind of realizing how far we've come and look at progress. And so what I want to do is I want to highlight that we did launch bank products with Santa Barbara TPG. They were a new bank product we offered this year alongside Republic Bank. And so we were able to get that up and available for you and for your clients. We also were able to launch some refund transfer incentives. And we had a dedicated training webpage, which I actually got to hear from several preparers. They said that was a massive benefit to them, being able to have dedicated training web pages where they could learn how to use the software and learn exactly, hey, when I add this form, where is it calculating this from, et cetera, which I thought was really exciting to hear. We also launched TaxDome Lite. We heard you after talking to many preparers the very first year we had TaxDome. We heard, hey, it's awesome. We love this software, but I feel like maybe I use 2 of the 6 key features. Is there going to be an offering for me that meets my needs? And so we launched TaxDome Lite, which is a slightly more discounted version of TaxDome. And we've received pretty positive feedback so far. I would love to hear anyone from in the room, right, in between sessions, what your experience has been with it. And then we also launched text message alerts, right? So we had the ability we're always trying to figure out, we know that you're on the go, right? So we want to figure out how can we best meet you where you're at instead of demanding that you meet us on our terms, right? We want to meet you where you are at in your life. And then we did update our forms entry experience. I don't know if anyone noticed this last year, but we do have a redesigned left rail, left Forms Explorer. We added the ability to have tabs at the top of the screen for you to quickly navigate in between forms that you were actively working on. And then we also updated data entry, right? We tried to make it easier for you to identify possible alerts or errors or things that may need to be worked on within the program. And then we also increased our e-file and forms coverage. I know that was a huge relief to many. I mean, last year I heard so many people say, finally, you support this form I've been needing, and 40% more support staff and increasing the support hours during tax season. We know that during tax season, the last thing you're wanting to do, right, is to be put on hold, right? No one enjoys being put on hold. I don't enjoy it. And I bet you probably don't enjoy it during tax season. And so we're trying to eliminate that as best we can. And that's some of the things that we increased. Also, I want to highlight my role as the UX designer. What UX stands for, in case you don't know, is user experience. So I am in charge and I ultimately hold the responsibility of crafting and designing the experience that you have when you use the software. And one of the ways that I do my best to craft a positive user experience is by speaking to you. Actually sitting down and listening with you. This last week alone, I sat down with 7 preparers and I walked them through some potential designs we were looking at. And I said, hey, just talk to me. I want to hear about how this season went. And in this past tax season, our team has actually spoken with over 125 plus tax preparers. So we've really made it our mission to listen to you. And so some of these things that we've heard is that you want to continue to have a great product at the best market price. You want relevant features for the tax practice of today and the future. And you want to know that we're caring about you and the businesses that you support. And so these are direct things that we have learned by actually getting to sit down and take the time to listen to you. So with that, what I want to do is highlight some of what's new and coming for TY22. There's a lot on the screen. We're going to go over it today. I'm going to kind of just bullet point, say them as you see them, and then we're going to dive deeper into them. Sound good? Are you ready to join me kind of on this journey for the next half hour? I promise it's going to get so exciting. What's new for TY22? No significant price increase. That's always good, right? I don't know about you, but prices have been going up pretty dramatically across the nation, right? And so to find out that there's not going to be a significant price increase is really, really beneficial, right? We also are going to expand the forms and e-file coverage. So we're going to be adding even more forms, right? And we're going to be adding even more e-file support. We are always doing our best to constantly expand those. You probably see here a hot ticket item, e-signature integration. I was speaking with several preparers, as I said, at lunch and getting to kind of hear their experience of how they do e-signatures. I'm curious, has anyone in here ever done the classic, you send your client like an e-file authorization, they then print it out, they sign it, then they scan it, and then they send it to you, and then you have to then go figure out what folder that goes in for your records. And it's just a headache, right? We've kind of made it our ruthless mission this year to do our best to get rid of that process. And I'll be talking a little bit more in depth about that here in a bit. Also, the TaxBook partnership. We're going to be offering a discounted rate for TaxAct professional customers. We have heard that the majority of people we've spoken to are avid TaxBook users or lovers, enthusiasts of their product. We love their product. And so we've had the wonderful opportunity to partner with them and offer you some direct benefits. And then bank product and refund transfer incentives will continue to be offered. This is not just we did it 1 year, tested it out, oh, it's fine. No, this is something we're going to continue to offer. We heard from you, you like this feature. We want to continue to extend that. We are also going to be offering additional support improvements. The details of that, we are figuring out all of the details. However, we've already got kind of a roadmap of what we're thinking those support improvements may look like, because again, we want to meet you where you are at. And then we want to continue to offer more training and events like this in person and virtually. And then we also are going to be offering Protection Plus firm level offerings. Okay, that's a lot of things on this screen. Let's dive in, okay? There's not going to be a significant price increase. There should be, I don't know if I have it listed here. It may be in my notes, but essentially what we're going to be doing is that if you jump in right now and buy your software prior to June, we're going to do our best to lock in that rate, okay? So the matter of the fact is that while everyone else has been going up dramatically, we only add any type of price increase when we feel that we're definitively adding value to your life. But we also want to give you the opportunity, right, to know that, hey, money can be tight at times. So if you do want to have the ability to lock in your purchase prior to the end of June, please speak with Sean Taylor. He's in the back of the room. He is one of our heads of sales, and he would love the opportunity to speak with you. We're also going to be increasing our forms and e-file coverage. So we're going to be offering over 100 new forms to our currently supported state products for California, Florida, Texas, Illinois, et cetera. We will specifically be adding the California 990, the Washington 1040, the Florida 1040, and many, many more. So there are more forms and e-file coverage support coming, okay? And again, don't hesitate to tell us if you have a form that you don't see supported in the software, or you want more e-file support in your actual e-filing steps. Let us know. We want to do the best job we can in supporting you. And then I actually noticed, I think this may be there. I have two versions of this slide deck, and I just want to make sure I have the most updated one. I don't know if this is the most updated one. Let me see really quick. I just want to make sure I get this right. Okay, it is. Perfect. I want to make sure I got this next slide going. So e-signature integration. So you've spoken, we've heard, e-signature is a hot button issue, right? It's something that you need in your life to make it easier, right? You don't want to necessarily have to be going and using the other guys, right? You don't want to have to sit there and do half of your work in the program and then have to hop out of our program to have to go do something else, right? So what I'm happy to tell you is that we are currently exploring the ability to have e-signature integration directly in the product. Now, what that directly means, we are figuring out the details. You're going to get to see a little bit of a rough sketch demo of that today, actually. And I would love to hear your feedback of what you think of it. But our goal, right, is to always help you be more efficient at what you do, right? I heard a preparer last week. I asked, hey, how long does it take for you to do your e-file kind of workflow? And she said, and she's really quick. She was like, I'm a pro. I'm like Sonic the Hedgehog in here. Okay. I go fast. I was like, okay, well, how long? She said, it's about 2 minutes. And I said, well, the issue is that's like 1:40 too long. I was like, we really need to cut down on that. And I know that we can do that. So us as a team, we've really done our best to kind of commit to this vision to increase your efficiency when it comes to e-signature. And then related to the tax book, we, again, as I said, we're excited to announce that we're partnering with them. We want to bring you a discounted rate to be able to use some of their products, to be able to resource yourself and look online and be able to know, right, okay, hey, the most up-to-date tax law changes, the most up-to-date forms that are there. We want to give you the ability to use their incredible product. And we're currently exploring even ways to interact with their product within our product. More to come on that later, but those are the avenues by which we're exploring, because we do believe in this partnership. And we know that it is going to be important. And again, we want to increase your efficiencies. That's kind of our whole mission statement. And then bank products. They're good for your clients and they're good for your business, right? We've heard overwhelming positive response for the ability to use bank products in the program. As I said, Santa Barbara, TPG, and also Republic Bank. And so we want to continue to support and offer that. And so you will continue to see those within the product themselves, including refund transfers. You've also probably heard these called pay by refund, right? So these are, the bank products that can be used to pay for tax preparation fees, right? So these are really, really key. We've heard from many preparers that this ability to offer their clients, right, the ability to kind of do the pay by refund is actually directly beneficial to them and helps enhance their workflows, right? And it just makes their lives easier when it comes to things like invoicing, et cetera. And so we want to continue to offer that. There's also the cash refund advance. So tax refund advance loans are short-term loans that your client can apply for when they're anticipating that refund from the IRS, right? And we're going to have even more information about cash refund advances in the future. And then SPA programs, right? So what if I told you you don't have to pay up front for your tax software, right? You'd probably be like, that sounds pretty great, right? We want to give you the ability with Republic Bank's SPA. Republic Bank will pay for your tax software package so you can take advantage of all of our offerings without having to pay up front, right? So that's something that we're really excited that you're going to be able to take the opportunity and not have to pay up front if that's something that's just maybe not feasible for you right now. And then, of course, as I said, we want to hear from our users. And so I want to read this quote. This is from a real user. Her name is Felicia. She is in Texas. She said, after starting the bank refund transfers and cash advances, my practice grew from 40 clients the first year to 150 clients the next season, all because of the ease of use of TaxAct professional products and offerings my client bank products the opportunity of not having to come up with the money to get their taxes done. And so, that's a direct quote from a user that they can testify to the direct benefits of getting to use some of these features. And then we want to continue to offer additional support improvements, right? Things like text message alerts. We're going to be increasing the number of representatives that are available, right? So that, again, we want to eliminate you being put on hold, okay? No one likes hearing the elevator hold music, right? Even now when you call certain places and they're like, press 1 to listen to rock and roll, press 2 to listen to jazz. I'm like, I don't want to press anything. I just want you to answer the phone, right? That's our goal. We want to get to where you are getting to talk directly with someone, right? We're going to be offering extended support hours, like I said, so that we can continue to support you. And Spanish-speaking agents will be available for those who are multilingual or maybe English is not your first language. And then we want to continue to offer trainings and events. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a particularly handsome devil that's behind this podium right here. It's me. So we want to continue to offer events like this, right? We want to continue to have the ability to resource you and educate you and give you the opportunity to network and meet other tax preparers and share knowledge with one another, right? These are in-person and virtual. Things like the NAEA, NATP, Latino Tax Prep, and AICPA trade shows. We're going to be continuing to offer webinars, right? And again, I talked about that webpage earlier. It's devoted to training. I really encourage you, for real, go check it out if you haven't. It is really cool getting to see the different training videos that are on there and getting to see the different ways that you can learn how to use the product. And so, yeah, we're really excited for some of our training and events this year. And then Protection Plus, right? So this is going to be a new firm level offering. Okay, I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. This program allows you for your 40 individual clients, it's just $10 per return. Okay, it gives you and your clients a peace of mind all year long to know that you are protected audit-wise. We've partnered with an experienced team of CPAs and EAs from Tax Protection Plus who are on your side to handle difficult situations. Protection Plus audit experts are there to step in. So that's a great thing. You're going to be able to have a direct resource that you can kind of call on to help you whenever you're in situations that you're maybe like, this feels a little tricky. What I would really love is someone to kind of come alongside me, right? And help me know, am I doing this correct? Is there anything here that could maybe, I don't want to say get me in trouble, but anything I don't know that inadvertently could come back to bite me? Those are the types of things where this could be a direct benefit, and it's just an additional $10 per return. That's something that can be directly funneled down, right? That it's a great offering for you and your clients. Okay, with that said, I would love to actually now walk you through a demo of the possible e-signature integration and simplified e-file steps. What I want to do before I show you that is let you know that this is what we would call in the design world a low fidelity prototype. All that means is that you're going to notice if you look at this, there are going to be times that you don't see accurate colors, right? Buttons may not be the color you expect them to be in the program. You may have times where you would expect to see a bunch of text and instead it's going to be blocks of lines. The reason for that is that we are in the early stages of designing how this workflow would look. And what we want to do is we want to really focus on the workflow itself being functionable and viable for you. And so we're saying, hey, we're not going to worry about those details right now. We want to make sure that we're even heading in the right direction and that this is a good workflow for our clients that actually fits into their needs. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch on over. Okay. So as you can see, right, this is exactly how the product looks, right? It's just typically, a box and a bunch of lines. No, this is what I mean by it being kind of low fidelity, right? But what I want to do right now is I kind of want to walk you through a potential workflow that you may get the chance to use this next year with e-signature integrations. And what I want to also say here is nothing here you see is final. What I mean by that is if you're here and you strongly feel passionate about a better way to do something, again, please come talk to me in between sessions. I would love to get the opportunity to have a conversation with you and to pick your brain and know kind of what you think about what you're saying. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and dive on in. So we're going to pretend here that we're in the program. We're going to go ahead and enter an email and username. And we're going to sign in. As you can see, I've got my nice client manager going on right here. I've got Mr. Santa Claus, old Saint Nick, up at the very top. He is going to be the client who we've done the vast majority of everything for them, right? All that's really left for me to do is to figure out how do they want to receive their refund, and then I need to send them the e-file authorization form, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and open up Old St. Nick's return, okay? Again, this is exactly how the product looks, right? I know, I'm an incredible designer. But no, as you can see, this is kind of where you would see the basic info worksheet, right? You have your information that goes here. You've got your forms over here on the left. We've got the tabs up at the top, which I've heard from some people. I'm curious, has anyone here felt the same? I've heard some people say that the tabs really helped them this year when they were navigating returns that maybe had a lot of forms, or they were having to cross-reference, right? Like, wait, what I put on this form, I want it to directly feed into that, So we want to continue to offer that. That's something that we heard really great positive feedback on. But something we're exploring is right now to launch e-file. If you are in the program, you actually hit the e-file button. It asks you another question, so it's a little deceptive. And then you have to hit it again to actually get to the e-file flow, right? And you're actually in the Q&A, which is great. We love our Q&A users, but we've heard from our forms-based users, they're like, why do I have to exit the forms to get to e-file? So that's something we wanted to explore. So as you can see up here in the top right, I've got a print return option, and I've also got a launch e-file steps button. And if I click this launch e-file steps button, I get greeted with this pop-up. And it tells me, hey, here are some of the review topics you need to explore, okay? So this has been redesigned to hopefully simplify how it appears to you. We try to group together things under federal, and then states, and then alerts. That's kind of the methodology, that's it, of how we approached this. And so as you can see here, if you've got the federal tab open, we can see, okay, we have a valid PIN entered. I can choose to go over here and hit review and review it if I need to, right? You see the driver's license has been fed directly in from the information where I've entered it prior in the return, okay? But I have not selected how the refund method goes, okay? So as you can see here by kind of this alert that's going on and the fact that this says start, I can interact with this here and all within this forms view, right? We're still within the forms view. I hit start and I'm greeted by a new refund method screen, okay? So from here, I can decide how did my client say that they wanted to receive this refund? And you've got a host of options, right? You've got direct deposit, you got bank products, you have the mail check option. Let's say Old St. Nick is a direct deposit user, okay? He's a big fan of direct deposit. And once we click that, we're actually greeted with the possible bank, the ability to view this information and confirm that it's correct. So this is at North Pole Credit Union. I know, I'm a comedian. And we can see the nickname you have given it is Santa's Credit Union. So you can name some of these specific banks, right? You know, that way you sort of know, okay, this is Sally's Chase Savings, right? Or this is Bob's Wells Fargo, whatever. And you have the ability to make sure that information is correct. You can also, if you know you need to, divert parts of the refund. We have the ability here with the add another bank for the refund method. So you have the ability to select, I believe it's up to 2, in order to kind of split that payment up. And then as you can see here, you would interact with this drop down and it would tell you the various different ways. You know, these are the different banks that we've got tied to this return, such as Chase Bank, DACU, and then Mrs. Claus's savings, because she needs a savings account too. And then if we hit submit the refund method, as you can see here, we now have a check, right? So we have filled that in. We're good. We're good to go. I may look at this and say, okay, no major alerts are going on. Everything is good. Now what I want to do is I want to send to Old St. Nick the e-file authorization form, right? I want to make sure that I have signed the documents I need, the 8879 for the federal. So we will go here and we'll hit start. And it just lets you know, hey, select the things of which you're seeking the e-file authorization, right? You can choose federal or you can choose specific states. We'll say for the sake of today, we're going to actually click both of them. And as you can see here, my next option says request e-signature. Okay. So again, we're all within the forms view still. I hit request e-signature and I'm taken to this screen. And what you would have the ability to do is within the product, this is our vision, right? This is what we're aiming for, is that you would have the ability to see the documents that are in this envelope by default, such as the e-file authorization, the 8879, and any included states. So those are bundled together, so you're not having to sit there and go through and do a federal flow and then do a state flow. You can actually bundle those things together, so it's kind of like a one and done message, right? I mean, how many people here love like one and done? Let me send the thing once to the client because I have a hard enough time tracking them down, you know? And you can include things like your billing info, right? That's something we heard commonly from preparers is they said, I want my invoices basically included by default so that when I send it to the preparer, it's like we're set up to have our final conversation, if you will, letting you know, hey, I need you to sign this so I can e-file. Also, this is how much you're getting. This is how much you're going to be charged, or this is how much you owe, et cetera. And you do have the ability to upload your own documents. We did hear from some preparers that they say, I'm not like other preparers. I sometimes like to include this thing or that. Great. We want you to have the ability to do that. So that's why that upload feature is there. And then you have the ability to add recipients to the envelope. So this information would feed actually from your client manager. That's the vision here. So it would have the ability to know, okay, so Santa Claus, that's your client. We know the primary email you use for him is milkandcookies@northpole.com, right? So we're going to go ahead and just fill that in, right? So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love not having to type. right? I love when things just kind of work the way they're supposed to. And that really was the vision here. And you do have the ability to add another recipient to it. We've heard people say this obviously for joint returns, et cetera, right? You know, they may say, oh, hey, they don't want to just send it to the husband's email. They want to send it to the husband and wife because, you know, maybe they're going to sign it on different schedules, et cetera. And then you do have the ability still to compose a message and send it to your client, you know, hey, Billy, pay me. And then you can hit next up here, and you actually have the ability to get specific about what do you want on this e-signature form, right? Again, we heard from some preparers that they say, I don't just get a signature. Sometimes I like including their banking info sheet, and I want to ask them to put their initials on those things because I like the ability to say, oh, you tell me that that account number was wrong? Well, look here, I've got your initials. It says you checked it, you know? There's a variety of reasons why you may want those features. And so we want those to be available to you. So you would have the ability here to add things as you need them, right? And then you would hit send up here. And we see up here in the corner, document successfully sent to Santa Claus for e-signature. And so those are the early stage mock-ups and prototypes that we have for this feature. We're still figuring out a lot of the details. But that is kind of the early board flows as how we see them. What I want to do now is I finished a smidge early, okay? We are going to have a dedicated time of Q&A, okay? But initially, off the top of your head, I would love to take any questions you may have based on what we kind of saw here, based on some of what we've talked about, etc. Anyone have any questions? Our main man, Matt, has the keeper of the microphone. We'll bring you the microphone if you have a question. Oh, we got one over here. Her hand shot right up.
Just quickly, I know you guys are just walking through the where will that document come back to in regards to once it's submitted? Will you guys be funneling it through like DocuSign? Have you guys, is that a third party or are you guys going to create this on your own?
So that's a great question. What we're currently doing, I'll tell you this as much as I can. Otherwise, Matt may crash tackle me if I reveal too much. So we are currently looking at vendors that meet this vision. So that's what I would say. What we want to do is we want to start with a vision. This is how we imagine the ease of use it needs to create for our users. Now we go figure out who can do that best, right? And again, we know that because this is something that we've heard from users, hey, I need that like next season, you know, like, or hey, I need that in the next 2 seasons. What we want to do is, you know, not necessarily always dedicate all the time and resources to building it from the ground up when there's the opportunity for other products or vendors that can directly integrate with us that have those capabilities, which means that we get to offer some of those things to you sooner, right? And so that's kind of the methodology we're looking at it from. I am curious to ask you a question because my team laughs because I always answer every question with a question. That's like the researcher brain in me as the designer. So you asked, where would it go? The documents, right? I'm curious, if your client had signed that, where would you expect in the program to be able to view those documents?
I would hope that either it would come, normally when we get documents from you guys, it comes through an email source. So it gets emailed directly to us. So then we would then have to upload it into the attachments. But is there a way that when it links, they sign it, it automatically uploads. So that way we don't even have to go back to that client. We'll just get the notification that they signed it.
Okay. So you're saying that would be beneficial to you if instead of it like emailing you and saying, hey, Billy filled out this. Yeah, you're saying I want it to go ahead and be uploaded and maybe attached to that client like within the program. Okay, it's great to know. I will not confirm nor deny that those were my assumptions. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. Excuse me. Okay, let's say for instance, if the client wanted to sign it right then and there, I don't know the exact name of the pencil, you know, that you insert into the computer. Would that be an option as well, where they can sign it while we're sitting there with them instead of sending it to them? Yeah, with a signature pad. Will we be able to allow them to sign it with a signature pad that where they're instantly signing it directly onto the form?
Yeah, so my experience with that has been that most vendor software products that we're looking at support that. And so that's one of the things that we are looking at, that we want to be able to have that ability. Because it's funny, as you mentioned this, right? And we said this at the top, where we are in the pandemic is a funny stage because it feels a little bit like the pandemic's sort of heading toward an endemic, right? We're sort of getting back to normal. And I'm hearing from preparers that are talking about how they were ending even this season with a lot more in-person conversations, right? And so they were saying like, yeah, I still use e-signature, but it's a surprising amount of times where I'm able just to go, here's the form, sign it, you know? And so, yes, that is something we are actively looking at. I really appreciate you actually pointing that out. I'm trying to get even more people to specifically mention that. So thank you. Any other questions I can field?
I've got one online.
Okay.
What about an engagement letter to be included with the return as well?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, love my online people. We love you. Secondly, yeah, that's something that, you know, what we're exploring right now. Again, you saw kind of what we call the happy path version of this, like path of least resistance with the least amount of choices. For us, we're currently exploring something even being in preferences that would maybe say something like, hey, always include these documents. So I go ahead and automatically include these to the envelope whenever I prepare a packet for e-signature, things like that. So if you were maybe in the case that you're saying, hey, I always want an engagement letter, right? Or maybe you're even saying you want to do that at the very beginning of the year, right? You're saying, oh, I want to have the ability to send this engagement letter or instruction letter at the very beginning of the year. We're exploring how you would have the ability to do that, right? Because right now, what we're looking at is this housing itself in the e-filing steps. But we're even asking ourselves, are there times that you would want something like this when it's not just in the e-filing steps, right? And so those are things that we're continuing to explore. So I'd encourage you, especially those of you online, when those specific cases come to mind, feel free to email in to us and let us know what those cases are. We're currently attempting to collect data to understand what those use cases would be so that we can, again, make the product fit you, not make you fit the product, right? We want to meet you where you're at. So that's a great question.
So Jake, I've got one more than I've got one over here in the room.
Okay.
Does the client need to log in to sign their forms?
Great question. So again, that is something that we're exploring. The initial vision we actually had was that they wouldn't need to log in. That what they would have is, from your point of view, some type of KBA authentication, right? To have the ability for them to simply answer a question and then boom, they are in, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but I've heard this from many preparers is, hey, my clients don't do a good job keeping track of their passwords and usernames for things, right? So then you tell them, hey, use this portal, it's really easy. And they're like, but what's my email? And you're like, it's your email. Like, I get it. So that is something we are actively trying to solve right now. I would tell you this, my vision would be that they don't have to. I'm not necessarily saying that's TaxAct's vision, but I'm going to advocate for that vision as much as I can while keeping security top of mind. We don't want to compromise security, right? But we also understand that convenience is a real factor for you, especially in tax season. So great question.
Okay, so I'm a little confused on the e-file stuff, the signatures. What are the expectations of when they will be included? Are y'all trying to get it where it'll be there for next filing season, or are we looking a year or two out?
That's a great question. I would tell you this. Our personal goal is to get it as soon as we can, which for us would be next year. Can I guarantee that it will be? I'm going to do everything in my power to get it there. That genuinely is what I mean. When I say that, I mean, I spent the first part of the entire tax season doing nothing but researching e-signature and I actually traveled to Cedar Rapids, sat down, and I hung out with 5 different preparers over the course of a week. Guys, it was Cedar Rapids in February. I was frozen in. It was insane. And I'm from Texas, so I was not used to it. I didn't own a pair of gloves. I had to go buy gloves on the second day. And I was like, I thought these were made up. But I spent time with them. So I've done my best, I think, during the season to really commit to better understanding how you would want to use these things. And I just spent time with preparers in Cedar Rapids for 5 straight days, literally 8-10 hours at a time, sat in their offices, asked them questions about how they do e-filing, asked them questions about when they collect signatures, et cetera, and observed them in their workflows. And then turned around and directly created this and then got into a room and bounced this off of people. Matt was actually directly involved as well with one of our design sessions of we got people in a room and we said, okay, here are the problems our users are facing. How do we solve these problems? And then we came up with some ideations of what you see here. And our goal is to get through these ideation phases as quick as we can to get functional prototypes out to you to be able to use, so that you have the ability to use them for a bit and give us feedback. We actually, using this, had some users go through it this last week. So we had 7 users go through it this last week. And I would say that we've received pretty overwhelming positive feedback that they say, hey, you're on the right direction. There's some details we want to clean up, right? And we acknowledge that, but the direction here is correct. So now that we know we're in the right direction, man, we just want to full speed ahead, do our best to get this to you as soon as we can. So does that help answer the question? Yes, okay. Thank you so much for asking that.
I've got another one online. We're gonna get away from e-signature here.
Okay.
Can we choose the print order for documents?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that. So it's funny you mentioned that. Actually, we are also actively working on our print center and looking at how we do print center, because we've heard overwhelmingly from people, why can't I pick the order? Why can't I say, hey, print everything except maybe this page or whatever? And so that is actually something that myself, some of our tax devs and our dev team are actively working on. We have stories created actually that like literally next week when I go back in and I log on with the team, we're going to be talking about some of those things. So that is directly a feature that we are exploring to hopefully enable. Any other questions in the room? Okay, I want to say I was watching you during the presentation. You are a fantastic active listener. You were giving me nods. You were smiling. I was like, okay, I think I'm killing it, you know?
One of the things that just drives me crazy, okay,
Mhm.
because I'm a small preparer. I don't do but about 35 tax returns. I do insurance and financial planning. But one of the things that drives me crazy is finding the packages online, okay? Because for the small business, this past year, I had to call my rep to get the 20 prepare, get the e-files and do the tax software, and it's not published. You have to have a private link. She had to send me a private link. And to me, it's just stupid. I mean, come on, I got to be able to find that stuff. So that's one of the things. Can we please put all the packages in one place so we can go find them?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to have to call my rep. I just want to go online, go purchase the software in that particular package and be done with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing the big package. I'm doing the small, whatever, I think you call it, small business package. And then there's other questions I have. So I'll leave it at that for the time being. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that.
no, that's a great question. First off, I want to say you called yourself a small preparer, but I think that for a lot of the other guys that are not TaxAct Pro, they may not put as big of an emphasis, like you say you're a small preparer, but for us, like you directly matter. You are one of our users. And so your use case is extremely important to us. And so I just want you to know that from me as the UX designer for the thing, like your practice matters. Secondly, that's something that I would say we're investigating. It's something that, we've heard from other people as well. I wish I could give you a direct answer. I can't, but I want to thank you for sharing your voice and your experience with it, because I'll say this as well. If we're in between sessions here and you've maybe got a not so great experience going on and you're going, I don't want to go tell Jake, like, what if he gets mad at me? I'm not going to get mad at you. I love hearing about your frustrations. I really do. That is how I am one of your advocates, and I'm always doing my best to speak for you. And so I want you to know that if you've got things in the program that don't meet your expectations, come find me and tell me. Like, I want to know directly about those, document those, and then figure out how we can come up with solutions for that. So thank you for sharing. Any other questions in the room? Oh, we got one over here, Matt.
All right, we've got time for one last question, then we're going to head to break.
Wrap it up.
Hi, Jake, my question does not pertain to e-file, but it's two things that I saw during tax season. I've been using TaxAct for 16 years, over 16 years. And I don't know if you know about the look back rule for 2019 where the taxpayer can go back and pull the 2019 earned income. to be able to calculate their EIC or child tax. Well, that in that current year, if they don't have earned income, TaxAct does not support being able to do that look back. So you have to print the return. I have a two-part question. So
Okay.
are you going to try to fix that? And then the
Mhm.
next thing was, and I know another software, which saying any other software in this room is going to be a bad word, so I'm not going to mention their name.
Yeah.
But there is, and a friend of mine have been comparing our software to that software. They use that rule. They have a form to support that. And the other thing they have is when you're doing multi-states, a friend of mine had like a referee. He was like a professional referee. He had like 10 to 15 other states. Well, TaxAct doesn't support that, but this other software just like broke all the numbers out. We didn't have to go reconcile, do any allocations, any adjustments or subtractions. Is that something we can put on the board to look at in the future?
Yeah, so let me answer your two-part question. First off, great questions. For the first one, so as far as that form goes, I'll have to get back with you. I know the people who I would talk to for that, and I'll go talk to them during the breakout session, and I will find you and hopefully get you an answer, okay? Number two, the multi-state question. I'm so happy you asked this. I literally was telling, I think, Megan, I was like, someone's gonna ask this tomorrow. Someone's gonna ask about multi-state. That is something, again, we are actively working on. So yes, look forward to that in the future. We are figuring out what that looks like for us. Because it's something that we have heard time and time again, especially this season, right? So during the Great Resignation, if you will, during the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of transplanting people, right? People who are consistently roaming around or moving, or as you said, even like a professional referee, et cetera. And now you've got multiple states going on here, and you're sitting here going, how do I do this, right? And it's, again, something we're aware of that other softwares do support. And so we are actively working on that. As far as the timeline goes, I don't have a direct timeline to give you. Again, let me go talk to someone and then I can get you that answer. Sound good? Okay, thank you for the question.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Jake, thank you. I know a lot of people are probably going to be hitting you up during our sessions. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back at 1 o'clock. So we've got some refreshments outside. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over, invite Mary and Elvis up from Avantax, and they're going to talk to you about wealth management and stepping into wealth management on your terms. So welcome, Elvis and Mary.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And all of you online, thank you for taking time to visit with us here virtually. As Matt mentioned, my name is Elvis Medica. I serve as the Director for Business Development, running the Strategic Accounts, Strategic Alliance Program, as well as our recruiting program. And what we want to do today is, here's a little bit about our background. Mary's going to come up and present towards the latter part of the presentation. And, for me, I've spent the last 25 plus years in the financial services space, working specifically with independent financial advisors, and here more recently, tax professionals like all of you. And what's been really rewarding for me is knowing that I have the ability to play even a small role in your client's potential future financial success. And that's been extremely rewarding for me. So today, we want to spend some time and introduce you to the prospect of offering wealth management to your clients and why you should, at a minimum, consider it. Before we dive into the presentation, let me just take a couple minutes and introduce you to Avantax. Many of you maybe have not even heard of Avantax. Avantax is a sister company to TaxAct, and we're both part of a larger firm called Blue Cora, which is a publicly traded company. And our beginnings date back to 1983 with our legacy companies of HD Vest and First Global. And we've been providing tax smart financial planning ever since. And today we believe that our sweet spot, as it says on the slide, is at the intersection of where accounting
meets financial planning. And we'll talk about what that means today. So out of a quick show of hands, I wish I could see everyone online do the same, but out of a quick show of hands, how many people today are offering or referring investment business that your clients have? Okay, so we have maybe a couple, 3, 4 people in the room. Wonderful. Okay, excellent, excellent. And your role as a tax professional, not that I'm going to sit up here and tell you what your job is, you know what it is better than I ever will, but you are, based on the data and the statistics, one of the client's most trusted advisors. And if you think about that, it makes a lot of sense, right? And a lot of times you have intimate knowledge of their financial situation, even in greater depth than maybe some of their business partners or even their family, right? And clients trust you with that information, and they're already coming to you with questions, right? They're asking you questions about investments. What should I do with I just changed jobs. What do I do with my 401k? Do I leave it there? Do I transfer it? Do I cash it out? Do I put it in my new plan? Do I put it in an IRA? What do I do? Because they trust you already. You're one of the most, again, trusted advisors that they work with. And at the same time, you see the bigger picture. It's not just 1040s and 1099s, right? You see the bigger picture of what happens when you can marry sound professional tax advice that all of you are providing with, and you wrap that around financial planning. The long-term success of your client goes up significantly when you can do that. And those of you that have added financial planning to your practice or wealth management, what has happened to your practice, to your business? What has been the experience for your clients? Anybody care to share? This is the interactive part. Everybody got the cookies. You online didn't get the cookies, but everybody got shy because they're eating these awesome cookies out on the deck. But anyway, what we've seen and what we've heard from tax professionals that have adopted wealth management in their practice is the client relationship is much deeper, right? It sticks around much longer, and you're even more of a trusted advisor to your clients, and you become extremely or even more competitive in the market space. And the other thing is, depending on how you've structured your tax practice, some of you may just do tax returns for a fee. Some of you do tax planning throughout the entire year and have a recurring revenue model. Wherever you are in that continuum of the way that you're realizing revenue, when you add wealth management to your practice, you're adding an additional revenue stream to your business, an additional recurring revenue model, which again makes you much more productive, or not productive, much more valuable to your clients, right? And you're also offering another service model to your clients, expanding the offerings that you do have. So this is a gentleman by the name of Bob Carey. He's a tax professional, like many of you, also a CPA. He's been doing that for north of 20 plus years. And very early in his career, he adopted wealth management to his practice. And he's seen his practice absolutely, explode in terms of growth and alignment with his clients. And I'll just read you the quote real quick. He said, clients tend to stick with you for the long term. If you're not doing financial services in your practice, at some point in time, you're going to lose those clients. And he absolutely believes that. If today you're not providing at least maybe a referral to someone that can handle your client's investment needs, or doing it yourself in-house, that client is going to go down the street and get that advice from somebody else who, in a lot of cases, may be doing tax work also. And it's just a matter of time until that client leaves with their tax business as well. And that's kind of what we've seen. So what are your clients talking to you about? There's about 10 different events that happen from a financial standpoint in every client's life, or at least a lot of them, right? They may either buy or sell a home. They may get married, and or divorce. They may have children. They'll need an educational funding plan for their children to go to school. They may have a major illness in their family, a death of a spouse even. They may have a job change and need to know what to do there. Caring for aging parents, and at the end of the day, they're going to retire, right? So all of these things happen in your clients' lives. Maybe not all of them in a certain sequence, but a good number of them do. And that represents money in motion, and it creates an opportunity for you to engage at a deeper level, again, from a wealth management level with your clients. And today we can take a look at what adding wealth management means for your clients. And overall, you can just sum it all up that, when you take an advisor that understands what the client's tax scenario situation is, and you can wrap that around an investment solution that serves their needs, you build a client for life. You really do. And, help them achieve their long-term financial goals in virtually any instance. So, the largest challenges and opportunities can be summed up in 3 words, and you see them up there, 3 R's: referrals, retention, and revenue. From a referral standpoint, as we have these conversations with tax preparers, some of them say, yeah, I refer it to so-and-so down the street, or I got a person that I refer it to, but a lot of times I don't know what ends up happening. I don't get the feedback from the client or the person I'm referring to. We had an agreement. They're going to refer some of their business to me. If they need tax work, I'll refer to them, and that never ends up happening, and you never know what happens. So there's, to some extent, a lack of transparency in those referrals. From a retention standpoint, again, as Bob Carey mentioned, it's just a matter of time until that client needs wealth management, and they're going to go elsewhere. Why not do it with someone that already understands a lot of their financial background with regard to how their taxes are being prepared? And that's you, right? And then revenue. I mean, adding an additional revenue source to your practice, I'm sure there's nobody here or online is going to say, nah, you know what, we're good. I'm not looking to add any more revenue to the business. Bank account's full, don't back up the truck, we're good. So there's an opportunity to, again, add another recurring revenue source to your practice. So let's talk about how you can partner with Avantax to do so. And I'll kind of lay the foundation very briefly, and then I'll invite Mary Bearcat up to go into the details of each respective arrangement that we have. So under the Strategic Alliance Program, essentially 2 different ways that you can partner with us. If you're in one of the states listed on the slide there, and I'll read them off: Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Tennessee. If you're in one of those states and you say, you know what, I want to refer the business, but then I don't want to have to do any follow-up or do anything else. If you're in one of those states, you can simply refer the business. We'll help with the referral, and you'll get paid for that referral. Now, the most successful referrals that we have in that arrangement are ones where we can partner with you at a minimum on the initial phone call, so that you can introduce us or the team that will work with your client to your client, so we can help build that relationship. So if you're in one of those states you want to refer, not a problem. You can do it through Strategic Alliance Program. Now, if you want to refer and you're not in one of those states, you can still do it. The only difference is you do have to get licensed. There are some licensing requirements, and we'll walk through what that means more specifically. Okay. And then the second way to partner with us is if you say, you know what, this sounds great. I think I want to bring wealth management into my practice. And you can do that. You can be the financial advisor, or you can hire someone to work in your office or partner with you to be that financial advisor. And if you want to do that, you absolutely can. Some additional licensing requirements, but the revenue opportunity in that scenario is much, much greater. So hopefully that begins to, we've kind of scratched the surface on different ways to partner. Hopefully you can begin to see, the opportunity of, what we're going to see here the next 10, 20, 30 years with regard to the transference of wealth that's going to happen and the additional help that you could provide your clients. So to go in a little bit more detail, I'll invite Mary Bearcat up who runs the Strategic Alliance Program. She's going to take us into a little bit more detail. Mary?
Thank you. Thank you
got it.
very much, Melvin. And it's nice to see all of you today. My first time in Nashville. So I get introduced to Nashville and happy to meet all of you as well. So I will start off, as Elvis was mentioning, the Strategic Alliance Program. We have heard you. We understand that you have been saying for quite some time that you're looking for ways to diversify. You are looking for easier ways to add an additional service model for your business and grow that way. And we have specifically developed the Strategic Alliance Program specifically for the TaxAct professional users. And again, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Tennessee, 9 states. For those of you that are maybe calling in and can't see the map, but we do have options. Again, and we'll talk about this here in a few other slides later. There's options for those of you that are outside of these states to partner in a very similar manner. This is a wonderful program if you are maybe at capacity, but you know that you need to offer these wealth management services, or give your clients another avenue. Your clients asking you for help with their wealth management needs, and you really can't go further with that conversation other than maybe, I know of an advisor down the street. Why don't you here's his card, and that's really as far as you can take it. This gives you the ability to take those conversations just one step further and kind of get to know more about what's going on with the client. And even though you're not giving advice, because you're not licensed to, you're still, getting to know the client a little bit better, getting to know more about that particular situation that's concerning for them. It's a great way to be in front of the client initially as you're making that introduction to our financial planning consultants. And because you are actually going to be partnered with our financial planning consulting firm they're based in Iowa. They're a wonderful group of people that specialize specifically with the virtual relationship on the wealth management side with clients. They partner with many of our CPA firms and tax professionals to work with their clients. So you will initially, ideally, set up that appointment in the very beginning and make the introduction to your financial planning consultant of your client. So it's I guess it's starts off as a 3-way relationship on that side of things. Even though you are not licensed, again, and you're not acting as an investment advisor, you will have some transparency. You'll have a relationship with our consultant that you'll be working with all of your clients that you'll be partnered with. So you will have some, a little bit more transparency than you would if it were to be referred off outside elsewhere. In addition to that, if you're in the 9 states and you are not getting licensed, you are eligible to earn a portion of the fee that is generated. I think it's important to point out that this is not a transactional business on the brokerage side. These are all fee-based advisory accounts. And in these 9 states, if in this type of partnership, you can earn a portion of that revenue. So you get to take that conversation further, deepen that client relationship, and not have to be burdened with taking any of the securities exams or paying any fees. It is a very low barrier to entry model. And I think that's where we, Avantax and TaxAct, kind of set ourselves apart from the rest. Your clients are going to benefit because they're going to have that consolidated relationship with you, and a financial planner. And by the way, the financial planners that they'll be working with will take them through a very goals-based financial planning process. And depending upon, the needs of the clients. But it's not just a model that they are just kind of open up an account and stick put their money in. It really is, it revolves around financial planning. So they will get the benefit of some financial planning services, again, with you as well. And everything is available online for your clients. So they will have availability to their accounts and see what their accounts are doing. And they'll also have availability to the financial planners. Now, that kind of jumped. Similar to our Strategic Alliance program, the Avantax Planning Partners program that was launched many years ago, very similar, but it involves you you're required to get at least your Series 65 license. And the way this works, instead of it being more of a remote relationship, the financial planning consultant is going to come to your office and meet with your client. Now, it's important to point out that this was originally developed for multi-partner CPA firms. And traditionally, CPA firms with multiple partners, they tend to have clients that have more, I would say, complex needs. A lot of them are business owners. There's a lot of estate planning going on. So there's more complexities in their financial life, traditionally. So the financial planning consultants will meet with your clients inside your office, take them through, again, a very goals-based financial planning process. And in the background, they have access to a tax smart investing suite, which is something that Avantax developed. It is a suite of tools, capital gains analyzers, a tool for tax loss harvesting. There's a social security planner. It's very interactive. And again, we developed that particular suite, and it is available for our advisors, and your clients, or those clients of those firms, would absolutely benefit there. Professional asset management. We have a fee-based 401k platform, as well as other retirement planning platforms that your client will have access to, as well as multiple on the insurance side that encompasses risk management. So it's more of there's insurance, there's of course the tax planning, and very specialized investment management that goes along with Avantax Planning Partners. Now, again, the benefits are there. Certainly, they're getting a very boutique style of planning and investment management. And they also have the remote access as well. Now, as I was saying earlier, you have to get licensed in this particular platform. It is more complex. It does involve you being a little bit more involved in that you do need to be in those meetings with the financial planning consultant that meets with your clients in office. You do need to set those meetings. And you are actually more involved in the conversation as it comes to investment management. So for that, you have to have a license, at least a Series 65. And so that is a requirement. Another thing to bring up on the back end in Iowa, and even in our headquarters in Dallas, we have a team of financial professionals that are based in the home office that they are also certified financial planners. We have insurance experts. We have people that are expert in retirement planning. So all of our advisors and financial planning consultants have access to those individuals that can really do a deep dive and really solve these complex issues within this particular platform. This is a model also that was formed many years ago, and this is our independent model. And as Elvis indicated, if you want to do it all on your own, do it yourself, this is the do-it-yourself model. So you don't have the financial planning consultants that you'll be working with. You will be a financial planning consultant. And it does require a little bit more commitment, or actually quite a bit more commitment. Excuse me, there we go. Go back to there. So this requires and I think we may be, here we go, we're missing a slide here. This is different. This is, you're taking on the role of the financial planner, You have those relationships with your client. You're taking on a little bit more responsibility. But in that, you own that relationship and you actually build equity in your firm by owning that business. So again, that is, a huge advantage if you're going to go on the independent platform and be the planner. You want to be able to own that business and build on it. A lot of our firms that have taken this route have actually ended up going, the wealth management side has grown a lot faster and more than their tax business. And they end up really focusing on the wealth management business. So it helps you build your entire brand. People that work for you, if you have employees, this gives them an option. This gives them future options to maybe they want to become licensed and be a successor to you, once you're at that stage. But your clients get full holistic wealth management services and financial planning. Again, it's the independent model, depending upon the level of your licenses that you get, and we'll talk about licenses here in a minute, but their needs from the brokerage side, if they have commissionable accounts, or if you need to open up anything commissionable, you'd be able to do it here. Insurance, provided that you're licensed with your insurance license, we have a phenomenal insurance platform. Retirement planning, even some estate planning. So, all of your needs would be able to be met of your clients. So let's talk about commitment and licensing. So I mentioned brokerage business. That actually requires a Series 7. Now, the fee-based advisory platform is a Series 65. That's just one license. Series 66 works. If you have a 7, you've got to have that other license to work with it. But you can also do the fee-based advisory business. Now, we have seen, over the past few years, we've really moved into that fiduciary type of model, and that really you can handle pretty much everything you need to handle with a Series 65. But it does, in an independent model, you have to have, as in the other model, you have to have a license. Since you are the owner of the business, there's going to be registration fees that are due annually. It's the cost of having that independent function. Continuing education, again, depending upon the type of licenses that you have, there will be some continuing education requirements, but that's something that, again, is just a part of that type of that model. This is not a hard and fast rule, but most of the clients typically in this independent platform have about $250,000 of investable assets. So that might give you some guide. Errors and omissions insurance is required, but only after your production or you earn over $25,000 annually. So going back to this chart that Elvis went over initially, the Strategic Alliance Program is the program that we developed specifically for you guys on the TaxAct professional users. It's a great way for you to service your clients and earn a little bit of revenue, especially if you're involved, if you're located in one of those 9 states. You can refer clients to the same financial planning consultant team if you're outside of those states, but you need to have a Series 65. But you can do that. You can actually participate in that. Ideally, the ideal client in that particular platform has about $50,000 of investable assets. However, that is kind of a soft target. It's not a hard and fast rule. That's just been sort of an average of account size in this model. Low barrier to entry. You're just passing you'd have to sign up with me and fill out a form that allows us to do the initial a background check. It's very simple. It's not a long process. You don't have fees to pay. It's again, it's a wonderful program that I think is unique to us. The compensation, it's fee-based advisory business, not commissionable. So it's a fee that is earned, and you will receive 30% of that fee that's generated to you. I mean, it's generated to you on a, well, overall it's annual and on an annual basis. A very similar payout structure, a little bit more complex if you wanted to have a financial planning consultant that works with you in your office whenever you have client appointments. More sophisticated, I would say, or a more complex client situation. But again, if you're outside of those, the 9 states that don't require licensing, you can get your Series 65 and utilize those resources. Avantax Wealth Management, that is a pretty high commitment because you are required to get licensed and, ultimately possibly errors and omissions insurance that you would have to pay, and as well as fees annually. And you are the one. I mean, you're not really referring to a partner. You're the person that owns that entire relationship. But again, wonderful benefits to this platform because you do have, at that point, equity into your firm and into the wealth management business. And a caveat here. We do have a couple of incentives. So if you are signing up, for example, the Strategic Alliance Program, even if you're outside of the state, if you're, agree to get your Series 65, you would be eligible to earn 20% off your TaxAct professional software. That would be, depending on where you fall in the subscription cycle. Typically, it's going to be the next year that you'll receive it because you may have already signed up. And once your referrals, if you're referring business to us, if you're referring business and your referrals total $250,000, that next year TaxAct software then is free. So I hope I've said that right. And now for Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Elvis. They're both available for questions. One thing I want to make sure and note, I'm not sure that I did earlier, but TaxAct and Avantax are sister companies. We're both under the Blue Cora umbrella, so we're family. If I walk into the Dallas office, Oftentimes I see Mary. So, you know, if you're wondering, well, why is Avantax up here and what's the relationship? They are, their family. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Hi, Miss Mary.
Hi.
I've had the pleasure of speaking with Sean from Avantax, called me just to my practice to offer this to me, to offer to my clients. And what I found out in my little business is my clients can't afford the investments. Most of my clients make under, I say 80% of my business makes under $50,000 a year. Do
Okay.
you have any programs, or should I just be trying to get them to grow their money so that they
Well,
can? Thank you.
that, yes and yes, you know. On the independent model, if you decide to do that, there are, we do have account levels that, especially even on the advisory side, that start at $1,000 that you can start them in. So it's not impossible to work with us in that way. I mean, depending upon, you'd have to get licensed. Now, wait a minute, what state are you in?
I do mostly Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. So I saw Ohio on there.
Yep.
So I'm thinking in my Ohio office, I need to get with this, but most of my Kentucky clients are of lower income, earn income tax credit. And so I was explaining to Sean that I didn't know if that was something that would be manageable for their budget.
Mm-hmm.
But did you have anything that could help me get them there? You know,
Mm-hmm.
any information, any literature, or anything like that?
Well, we do have ways, actually, on the TaxAct side, your consultants can help you build that part of your business up a little bit more. And for your clients, you know, it may not be the time for them to take on, you know, more investment risk. But those that are trying to get there, I mean, we do have ways in which we can manage some smaller accounts, those that are just starting out then. Right, yeah.
I'm more pushing it to my small business owners, my Schedule C filers.
Aha, okay.
That's kind of where my mindset is, that's a part of doing business. Sometimes you don't have a IRA or something already set up.
They may need to open up a solo K, and we can help them with that.
Okay.
Yes.
You used the word I didn't know, so I'm gonna be quiet now.
I did? What did I say? Solo K is a sole owner.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So we, absolutely. Well, thank you for your question.
Now to piggyback, she did say that she had clients in Ohio. So is it the client that is the registration, or is it the tax professional that has to be in those states?
That is, I'm glad you asked that question. That you have to be in Ohio, and the client has to be in Ohio.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so if you're in Ohio and you've got a client in California, you know, unless you're licensed, you know, that it won't work for that, for that.
So
That
to
type
make
of
sure that I wrap myself around it, we're in Texas.
Okay.
So what is available for Texas?
You can do any of these actually, but it does require licensing.
Licensing for either platform.
Yes.
Got another question over here.
I'm going to be Ray Stevens and say it's me again, Margaret. But just out of curiosity, like other people have said, I'm very small business, less than 200 returns a year. But in my neck of the woods, we're very rural, and they want hands-on stuff they can physically touch and look at. So my question is, do you have like brochures or anything like that that's available that I could give to my clients?
Actually, yes. Now, are you, did you say you were here in Tennessee? Perfect. Yes, we do have. Now, I want to caveat this because again, you're not, like if you were to join the strategic partnerships strategic alliance program, you're not licensed, you're not an investment advisor, so you can't really give investment advice, but we do have materials that are client approved that shows the financial planning process and discusses that relationship. So we do have some items for you to give. And we also even have came up with a poster this year that can be displayed in the office. Yep. Thank you.
Anyone online, if you have questions, feel free to chat, to put them in the Q&A box. Anyone else in the room have a question?
You mentioned that if a tax professional office generated more than 250K, you would purchase their software the following tax year.
It is, yeah, it is free. And if Sean Taylor is in the room, is he? Oh, he is. He is. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. It's the next year,
Yeah, the
next
next
subscription.
It's the next purchase cycle. So let's say you've already purchased your software for this year and Avantax informs us next month. It's 250,000. Then all the taxes you that will drop. So let's say that last month they had said, hey, you achieved that level and you called me today, it would be in those.
Okay,
It's all
because
about timing of when you hit that milestone.
Gotcha. Now I do 1120. I do 1120s, 990s, and 1040s. You're gonna buy the whole packet for me? Wow. Okay. State and federal, unlimited E5. I mean, state and federal, unlimited E5. I'm like, I just want to verify. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, and with this, just to add this, we've had, this is a new program. And we have a couple of tax professionals that have really had great success in engaging their clients with this resource and service. And we've noticed that, you know, it really, really hits home if they're on at least that first introductory call with the financial planning consultant, via Zoom even. If it's a call or if it's a Zoom, whatever works best. But if they're a part of that first meeting, it is extremely beneficial. So, what state are you in? All right, good. I've got something else to tell you.
Mary, I've got a question.
Oh.
New Jersey would need a license, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I've got another question. Explain if already have a Series 6 and Georgia 63, what would you suggest for me to do?
Well, that is, you would need to either get your Series 65 because you're already registered technically, even though a Series 6 license is not something that you can use necessarily for advisory business or even much on the brokerage. But you could get along with a Series 65 because you're already registered. So take that next step and become an IAR if you have current licensing. And let me add this real quick because that's a good segue. We're offering $20 for 20 minutes. So for those of you that book an appointment with me, and you can use the QR code if you have questions, interest, comments about any of these three programs, and if maybe you're wondering, you know, what do I do next, and should I do this right now? Because it may not be the right time. Please book a call with me, and in the subject line, put in 20 for 20. And after we talk, I'll send you an Amazon gift card for $20. So for that individual that's in Georgia that has a Series 6, please reach out to me. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and we've got Mary's information up on the slide, so feel free to take a picture of that. Mary, I've got one more question for you, actually two. New Jersey would need a license, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are the New Jersey requirements for the 20% off? Then I can work on the 250.
Okay, perfect. If they are agreeable to coming on to be a referring partner, they go past the background check. And it's a little bit, well, to get the license, the background check, the application's a little bit longer than on the other, but it's perfectly doable. Once they pass that and move on to the next step of getting their license, they'll receive that 20% off.
Awesome. I've got time for one more question. Anyone in the room? Okay. Mary, Elvis, thank you again.
Before we dive in and get started, I do just want to take a moment to introduce ourselves. As I mentioned, I'm Sarah Crouch. I am a bank product specialist with TaxAct Professional. I have about 14 years experience in the tax and accounting industry, helping clients improve the workflow processes in their firm and really showing them some tools to help them better serve their clients. Gentlemen, would you mind introducing yourselves and let us know who your favorite country musician is since we're in Nashville.
I'll go first. Eric King, like you said, with TPG. I've been in the industry and specific to bank products. This is my 19th season, and obviously I started when I was 10. But I hail from Kentucky, just a stone's throw from here, and just glad to be here. We've had one season of integration with TaxAct, and I think we've gotten most of our wrinkles ironed out. I got to go with Dolly, since we saw Dolly in here earlier.
Okay.
Would have to be one of my favorites. She has such a great story, and she's still such a great ambassador.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to love Dolly. But pleasure to be here.
I am Alan Keeling with Republic Bank. I went over to the bank last year after 22 years as a customer service, vice president of customer service at a tax software company. And so really enjoying it on the bank side. And Republic's delighted to be here with you today. And I guess I'm a Chris Stapleton fan and
Good too.
Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
All of those. And Dolly was over the bed last night in a picture. So here in the hotel.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool.
Okay, great. Well, before we do dive into today's discussion, I want to quickly do a recap of this tax year and with us at TaxAct Professional, with TPG, and even Republic Bank. I know we're talking with a lot of customers and even the people joining us today. I know you guys survived another interesting tax season. Saw probably a lot of extensions, but overall, from what we're hearing, it was smooth. And a lot of customers we work with did experience growth by incorporating one of our banking partners. At TaxAct Professional, we had over 3,000 firms sign up for bank products through Republic Bank, who we've had over a decade of experience with, and also with TPG, who just signed up and is new with us this year. And we're really excited for this upcoming tax season. Really looking forward to expanding our services and even experiencing more growth. And next, what I want to do is just give a quick bank products overview, regarding refund transfers, cash advances, and the software purchase assistance program, which I know you guys have all heard those three things already mentioned today. So with refund transfers, they are a solution that you as a tax professional are able to offer your clients, where you can have your tax preparation fees come directly from your client's refund. And then cash advances, with cash advances, there's the pre-act and the post-season loans. And both of our banking partners have many different programs available. So what I would recommend is take a look at those programs, see which one best fits your needs and your firm. And then, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or my colleague, Melanie Milton, or Alan or Eric. And then the software purchase assistance program, which we do refer to as SPA. If you've processed 40 or more federally funded returns this past tax season, it is a program that you may qualify for. And if it is something you're interested in, what you'll want to do is reach out to your sales rep, let them know you're interested in it, and they'll go over all the details and requirements for you guys. So let's go on and let's dive into refund transfers. You know, refund transfers, it definitely benefits the taxpayer because there's no out-of-pocket cost for you to pay for their tax preparation. And you as a tax preparer, you get paid quickly and efficiently without having to spend that extra time tracking down your fees from your clients. So Alan and Eric, you know, what other benefits do you guys see with refund transfers?
I think it's the convenience factor for many, for you, the taxpayer to, that comes in and it's just very convenient to go ahead and get their taxes prepared by a professional and be able to not worry about paying the fee right then. Those are taken care of. So that's one of the biggest benefits that I see.
On top of that, and that's absolutely correct, on top of that, though, we saw a large increase in take rate since the whole epidemic started. As people are trying to do more contactless or remote tax prep with their customers, they don't have to try to take cards numbers over the phone or anything like that. They don't have to wait for a check in the mail. They can just sign them up for refund transfer. Your fees come right out of their refund as soon as it is deposited with us. And so it limits the contact. It's easy. It's integrated into the TaxAct software. So, you know, it's very little lifting at all as far as the experience for you as a pro or the experience for the customer.
Great. Well, now that we've gone over the benefits, can you explain, you know, how does it work for both the client and the tax professional?
Well, like I said, it's integrated in the software, so that makes it easy. How many, just a quick show of hands, I know at home you can't raise your hand, but feel free to. How many do refund transfers this season? So would you agree it's a pretty simple process as far as, you know, signing the client up? They can choose their disbursement method, whether it's direct deposit or picking up a check in your office, that sort of thing. So it's like Alan said before, it's convenient. You know you're going to get paid as long as the refund funds, which isn't always a guarantee. And we saw last year, especially last season, there were a lot of delayed refunds. And I think we're going to continue to see that trend as the IRS resources stay thin. I think the last number I heard, they were expecting to hire 50,000 people. And we know how tough it is in this environment to try to hire people, let alone 50,000. So, but anyway, this is, again, it's integrated and simple, and that's one of the biggest benefits.
I think that tax season starting on time this year played a big role in the, well, we say on time, right? It was sort of back to normal. And I think that helped a lot with the overall flow of things this year, and saw a lot better results there.
Okay. And when looking at the clients that tax professionals have, you know, what are you guys seeing are the ones that are the most interested in bank products, or even ones that might be a good fit for bank products?
I think the typical trend tends to be, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the earlier filers typically have a higher take rate. And I think we get it in our heads that they're really the only ones that want it, and we kind of stop offering it as the season goes through. But really, anybody who comes through your practice that is expecting a refund is addressable market for this product. And we see everything from really low AGIs to really high AGIs that have a take rate for the product. So, you know, it's not a simple demographic necessarily, but we do see the trends typically earlier in the seasons, you know, is when we see the bulk of our volume.
Right. And how many of you have ever had someone come in with a box of receipts or a bag of receipts and want you to do that Schedule C for them? So you need to get paid for doing that, right? So I would say anybody that comes in, you want to offer that to them.
And I don't know how many of you in here have attended our bank product webinar that Melanie and myself have done. And I know as we get into that webinar, her and I talk about 4 types of clients to think about, because we talk about that forgetter. We talk about the convenience seeker, the entrepreneur, and the loyalist. And if you think about the forgetters, the one who always comes to your office with everything, but then as you guys start getting into doing the tax return, they've always forgot something. Right, an extra W-2, or maybe you guys schedule a time for them to pay your fees, and they come to the office, they're like, oh no, I forgot. And then you have that convenience seeker, which I identify as a convenience seeker. And my time is precious. I'll be honest, I'm very selfish with my time. I'm a working professional. So I just want to know that my own tax return is going to get done quickly and accurately. And with the bank products, it's a convenience I'm willing to pay for, knowing that it's just going to get taken care of without any extra work on my end. And then the entrepreneur, I'm sure you guys can all identify clients with that. That small business owner that you're also doing their 1040 for. And, they may have cash on hand, but that cash, they need to pay their employees, or they need to take care of other business expenses. And a bank product alleviates that extra burden. And then lastly, I know I mentioned the loyalist. These types of clients you think of, these are your biggest fans. They come to you for your advice. They come to you asking questions. So if you think of it, they're already probably doing e-filing. So they're already getting their return with refund with their deposit or a check. So if you guys were to think of telling them, recommending a bank product, they'd probably jump on board, definitely. So we all know to get started with bank products, you have to enroll. So when does the enrollment happen, and where could I, as a tax professional, access it?
With Republic, our enrollment starts the 1st of September, around September 7th. And you would do that by going to republicrefund.com. And it's a brief application there that's submitted online. So
And we have a similar process, but it's actually initiated through TaxAct, through the software. So you would go into your TaxAct software, click on the link to enroll with TPG, and then they would send the information that you input there to us and to get the ball rolling. But it's pretty simple. It's pretty painless. And then once we get that, you're approved, we ship you some marketing materials and some check stock and that sort of thing, so that you're ready to roll.
So I know probably the next thing on everyone's mind is cost. What are the costs associated with refund transfers for the tax professional and for their clients?
So, and I think most of the market's pretty much the same here. There's a convenience fee to the taxpayer of $39.95, and there's no fee at all for the ERO. So, and that comes out of the refund as well. So that just gets directly assessed to the taxpayer.
same here, $39.95.
Well, I know at the beginning of the presentation, it was mentioned the TaxAct prepare incentives. And I know you guys are probably wondering how they work and what is offered. So, here at TaxAct Professional, we have the TaxAct Professional Incentive Program, which, regardless of who you partner with, you can participate in. So what we do for every federal funded return you process, we'll give you $5. So if you're new to bank products, it starts with your first federal funded return. Now, if you're already using bank products, you'll receive it once you've exceeded the number of refund transfers you completed last year. So for example, if you completed 40 federal funded returns last year, it would start with your 41st return. So, moving on from refund transfers, can you guys explain, what is a cash advance? How does it benefit the customer, and what does a tax pro need to do to offer it?
Go ahead, Dan.
Sure. The cash advances, if you're not familiar, clients who are expecting a refund can apply for a portion of that refund early. And it can be during the pre-act section or after acknowledgements start with the IRS. And you just simply offer it to the client or they may come in asking. Of course, we're going to give you some signs to put outside that offer, up to $6,000 and this and that. But just like me, a lot of our clients need money early January and February. So, if they're expecting a refund, they could apply to get a portion of that refund within a day or two, actually within hours, depending on what time of the season it is.
And I think we started around January 2nd this year, processing the pre-acknowledgements loans, and then went from there. So it's very convenient, gets money quicker to the taxpayer.
Well, I know the other thing that we mentioned was SPA, the Software Purchase Assistance Program. Can you tell me a little bit about this program, what it is?
The SPA program gives the tax preparer the ability to go ahead and get their software and have the bank go ahead and send the money in to pay for their software, and you can go ahead and get locked in for your software, and then it's all taken care of early, and then the first fees that come in, the bank will retrieve that payback back for that pricing.
And, as I mentioned, if that's something you guys are interested in, please reach out to your sales rep and they'll go over all the details with you guys too.
So it's basically a free advance for you just to pay for your software. You don't have to worry about it. Once the fees start trickling in from the IRS, we'll just pay ourselves back for what we loaned you.
And what's great too to think about that, if you guys do qualify for it and you guys maybe were thinking about upgrading to one of our different software packages, maybe like our enterprise, this gives you the room to do that too. And then lastly, I know you guys are probably thinking, what's the best way to find out more information on bank products, or to even have you guys walk you through a demo or what to do in the product. And what you guys want to do is visit our bank products usage page. There you're going to find information on both of our banking partners. There's an FAQ, and there's even some really great videos to take a look at. Now, we also have our scheduled bank product webinars that are going to be starting up again late in the summer. And Melanie and I do those together, and we run them weekly. And then, if you do want to talk with someone or have someone walk you through the process, reach out to myself or my colleague Melanie. We'll go over questions. We're here to help you with the onboarding, help you understand the enrollment process. And then we'll even help you show you how to set up within the TaxAct professional software, making sure that that is set up correctly so you guys are ready to go once tax season is done or starts. So with that, I do want to open it up to the floor for questions for myself or Eric and Alan.
What are the fees to the client?
For the refund transfer?
For those of you online, the question asks, what are the fees for the client?
$39.95 for the refund transfer.
And then there is a $15 transmittal fee from TaxAct. So it comes roughly, it's $54.95 for that first federal funded return.
Okay. Oh, you sure? Okay. Eric is with TBG, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Eric, I worked with both banks this year just because I'd never worked with you guys before. The integration that you guys did this year with all of the new reports, do you know when that will be completed?
Yes, and that's a great question. We kind of rushed the integration, I'll be honest. So there's some of the reports that didn't get to market as early as they should have been, which in my opinion is January 2nd.
Okay.
But yes, we're actually releasing new reports just about every other day.
Okay.
So most of the management reports you would need should be available now on the website.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I leave my contact information with you as well. If there are any
Please.
specific ones,
Okay.
we can make sure that those get expedited.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Hello, Eric, I want to know who the Derby winner is, and I'm from Kentucky too.
So do I.
We'll collab later. Mr. Allen, I use Republic Bank products. I've been using it since I started with the TaxAct. My question is, the first year, I got a small business, okay? Don't have a lot. Maybe this year I maybe had 30 refund transfers, which is up from last year. My issue is that somehow I'm no longer eligible for the advance. The first year we didn't even use it, that we were approved for it. Then when I tried the next year, they said we didn't pass underwriting because we didn't have enough done. How do I get back in that? Because I could have more customers. Thank you.
Yeah, there are some minimum requirements on volume for those, but we can take a second look at any time. If you want to contact me afterwards, be glad to do that.
Is it my turn? Okay, I have a quick question in regards. First, I think everybody's thinking it, but they didn't want to ask, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask. When we get our rebate? No date yet? Okay.
So the calculation date ends on May 31st of this
Okay.
year. And then obviously we've got to position the results and then process the check. So I would say late June to mid-July as a ballpark. You will, yes.
And a thank you note.
Eric and Alan, can you speak to the different disbursement methods that you offer for clients?
Sure. Typically, and I think we're both consistent on this. Your client can choose to receive a paper check that's either printed in your office, or we can print them at the headquarters and mail them to their address, however you choose to set it up initially. We also offer direct deposit if the client has an account, and a lot of those accounts can even be some of your card account, card only type accounts. We can direct deposit to those as well. And I think we both offer a debit card option that you can offer to put the funds on through a debit card. Those are the main ones.
Same here. Check, DD, and a card.
Really appreciate that you guys did what you did, took it upon yourselves to mail out a lot of the stimulus checks. And the second time around, you sent it to the ERO for us to print. And I know that costs money. So I just want to say on behalf of my customers and myself, that took a lot. And we really
Thank you for that feedback. Thank you.
Well, I've actually never used any bank products because I've always been concerned about, is there a buy-in cost to sign up for it? That's part one of my question. And part two, you've talked about the fees for the transfers, but what about doing the advancing on the cashes? Is there a separate fee for that?
Our fees might be slightly different on the advances, so I'll speak first and let Alan finish, but there's no upfront cost to you to start in the program. For the fast cash advance is what TPG offers, and it has a $39.95 fee to you, to the ERO, as a marketing fee to offer that FCA, and that's only charged if it's approved. And then there's a nominal APR charged to the customer that typically only lasts for about 21 days. So it ends up being very small dollar amount for the customer.
Same here at Republic. There's no cost to enter the program. And ours is called the EA Plus, Easy Advance Plus. So it's $45 to the ERO. And then the APR charge, as Eric described, so.
And I would encourage everyone, if you're thinking of offering bank products, I'd encourage you guys all to look at enrolling. Because there's no cost for you guys to enroll or offer this. Because you never know as you guys go through tax season, who is going to need a refund transfer. Because, you guys might get those last minute clients new clients, or maybe something's changed with an existing client. It's lets you really better service your clients.
What I'm hearing is you guys need to do a lot better job of training us. Because that's one of the things I've been using y'all software for a lot of years too. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the training needs to be vastly improved. I've had to go search down stuff all the time. I didn't know earlier on about the dedicated training webpage. Nobody tells me anything. You don't send out the emails. You don't put out a video. Somebody needs to be telling us how to use this stuff and do it explicitly where we can see that on the software when you're using it. Because it does us no good. And I think I'm hearing other people in here basically have some of the same concerns that I have.
Right. And that's what Melanie and I are here for, you guys, is to help you understand the process. We want to help, have those conversations with you guys and give you ideas on how to use this, what clients to reach out to. And yeah, that's what we're here for. So please, reach out to us.
Yeah, and I would make sure, we send out multiple emails a month. If you're not getting emails from us, one, check your spam, or two, go into your My Account and check your subscription preferences and make sure at some point you didn't opt out of emails for some reason. But we do send out emails about training and videos, but we will keep that in mind and try to do an even better job of that for you guys. Because at the end of the day, if we give you software and we don't help you with it, that's not beneficial for you. It's not beneficial for us. So we're here to help you. So we'll definitely take a look at that. I think we've got another question here.
All right.
Hi, gentlemen. Either one of you gentlemen can answer this. I've actually only used Republic as well. And I apologize, sir. I've never heard of your company, but I'll research it. Sure. I am fortunate enough to be a person that works on Blue Cora's side, and I use the software. I look at some of the things we have with some of the online customers. There's a stipulation, Republic, in your transfer agreement in Section 5 that you guys would debit that account for that tax prep fee up to 45 days. And then after that, it could be like 66 days later. My problem in being in taxes this long is I have clients that I don't know have a debt. I've sat there and did all that work. They do a refund transfer. I never get my money. And I have seen it in the past where even if the refund transfer, I know you guys want your money up front, but what have you guys and other banks ever talked about looking at it how we look at it? Like I sit there and do $1,000 tax return and I never get my money, and that hurts.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of a situation where if the money never flows back to the bank from the IRS, there's nothing really to give you as the preparer at that point, and you're left to try and contact that customer and get paid for your services. But it is a good point. It is something that really those kind of things that we could take back and try and figure out some kind of solution. How can we help bridge that gap? Because I've talked to some people who are experiencing that same thing.
Because when I saw it in TaxAct, I was like, okay, that means that these people are signing an authorization that if TaxAct doesn't get their tax prep, that bank account, you're authorizing Republic or whoever it is to try to debit for the tax prep fee. And I didn't know that, so that's why I wanted to ask you guys. And it's just not geared to you. It's like as a whole, we want our money too.
Right.
The IRS has a phone number you can call, IRS offset number. It does not show, or it will not tell you if they owe the IRS, but it'll tell you student loans, child support. It will tell you those things.
I'm very aware of that. I've been doing it for 24 years. I promise you, ma'am, I have called that number and
It's usually for taxes. It doesn't tell you that, yeah.
I have that number in my phone.
On speed dial, okay, on speed dial.
I think that at the end of the day, it becomes a collection effort. So if you have enough on your books, you can sell your debt to an outside person to go out and collect and get money back, because that's the kind of business space. They don't make money. I didn't even know that clause was in there. So if there's a clause, do you guys debit the accounts after 45 days if you guys do not collect? Because I've never seen that happen.
We do. We do.
guys do?
So we have a program,
Okay.
the Pro Auto Collect, and we've had it in the pro space for the last couple of seasons. And we'll wait the appropriate time of what we expect the refund would have funded. And if it hasn't funded yet, then we will, it only works on direct deposit. So if they got a check, we're both kind of host. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so we'll go in and we'll attempt collection into the taxpayer's account for your prep fees. And then once we do that, we have to wait quite a while. It's about 80 days before we can send it on to you then.
Yeah.
Because if there's any corrections back or collect, their bank may try to pull it back from us again and back and forth, a little tug of war going on. So once we have it all settled within about 60 to 80 days, then we'll send you your check of all the tax prep fees that we've collected.
I've got two questions from our online participants. What happens if a refund is processed, but the IRS does not fund it?
And that's basically, what we were just talking about was that, we may be able to successfully collect. Quite often, as you know, that there may not be, if your tax prep fees are $300 and we try to attempt and they only have $10 in the account, then that's not successful.
The second question is, what % rate will the client be charged if they go past that 21 days you mentioned earlier?
We have a cutoff on how many days we will collect. I think last season it might have been 60 days. I think most of the folks in the industry was about that. So if it's delayed, if their tax refund is delayed, we'll collect interest up to that point and then stop collecting interest.
Hey, Al, we have a question for public program as well.
For the online folks, the question was if Republic has an auto collect feature as well.
Evidently we do, and I apologize for being new, but she just read it, so obviously we do. Yeah.
Section number 5.
Yeah.
On the
Agreement,
It's
right.
on the agreement. It's section number 5. And it indicates after 5 and 45 days.
No, that's the first. Is that something that was new clause, or have you guys always had that?
Now, remember, I work on the Florida side too.
Right.
I don't know if it's just to them and we're left out as professionals, because I see this on the Florida side.
Oh,
Because I actually work for TaxAct.
okay, so that's different.
Okay.
We don't see it on our.
Yeah, TaxAct, like.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm just trying to, well, we've never.
Yeah.
On our side, like, when I read through 2 pages, I don't see that they can collect. I just know we all know.
Right.
You guys,
Right.
you're on your side, right? Yeah.
Right.
We can't control, you're not even paying. So many years of that, and to me, I typed up an agreement that I got them to sign and say, hey, your debt is your debt. If I don't get paid for doing your taxes, I need my money. I said, I'm paying the rate, and if they don't pay, I take the small price, but they my money.
All right. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Sarah, thank you.
Yep.
Eric, Alan, we appreciate you coming and traveling
My pleasure.
and being with us. And they will be back up shortly on the panel. So if you have additional questions that you think of between now and then, they'll be available. See here in the front of the room, we've got Sarah, Mary, Nairi, Jake, and Sean, who Sean didn't present earlier today, but he is actually our Director of Sales for TaxAct Professional. So you've heard us talk to you all day long. So we wanted to give this opportunity, now that you've heard most of the presentations, this is really just an open time for you to talk to our team here about what questions you have. So just real quick, if you're in the room, please don't ask the question unless I give you the mic, just because our friends on Zoom can't hear you. And so they're kind of like, they hear an answer to a question that they don't know what was asked. So with that, panel, thank you for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. And this is any and everything about TaxAct professionals. So I'm got the first one headed to the back.
Sean, this one's for you. We talked earlier about locking in the software price for TaxAct. Is that something I can do here today with you, or do I need to do it through my sales rep?
You're gonna get some exercise.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See me after we're done and I'll get you taken care of.
Does TaxAct currently have a fixed asset module, or do you have a company that, or another software program that you work with to track fixed assets within the program? Or is it something that you'll add in the future?
So currently we do not have a fixed asset module. That is in discussion on our longer term roadmap. One of the things we'll probably do is if we can get your information, when we get to that point, we'd love to get your thoughts about what you'd be looking for in that solution.
Okay, I'm running back here to check our online folks, see what questions they have, and then we'll come back to in person. So some states offer a discount for veterans, that being New Jersey. It would be nice to have this pulled from the client's basic information profile, the same for disability status. Is that possible?
Well, yeah, there we go. All right. The state returns are very complicated, and I would never imagine that any tax preparation software is going to be that well-versed in each state. But generally when I prepare state returns for several other, I'm based in California. Most of mine are California returns, but I will say that if somebody ever comes up to you and tells you that they're a veteran or they're in the military or whatnot, when you get to that state module, it's the same way that you would go through your regular tax preparation, the Q&A. You can actually just search for that keyword in the state return, and it'll bring up that page that you need to enter that information on. Because states, they vary. We have one income tax for everybody, but every state return is going to just give you a whole other bucket of information that you need to know and enter. But my favorite feature is just being able to search for that keyword, and it'll get you right to where you need to go in every state. So it's a lot of information that's been put in there in the software that allows you to be able to just flow through each state. Anything that comes up, if there's, for example, in California, there's an additional credit for going to school, higher education. So all of that stuff, it's not necessarily going to ask you, but if your client tells you that they're in that kind of position, just search for it and it'll take you to that page and that form.
Perfect. Thank you. Mary, this question is for you. Does Avantax provide any tools to use for developing strategic plans with the customer? By plans, I'm referring to what could be considered a financial planning tool with their data, similar to an asset liability model, layering in new investments to help correct something such as high capital loss carry forward.
Yes, absolutely. We do have, a financial planning process that if you're on the independent side, we actually have specialists that you can work with from the home office perspective to really get a good financial plan in place to address all of those issues. On the strategic partnership or strategic SAP platform, or whenever you're working with our financial planning consultants, the guidance planning strategies, that's their financial planning process, addresses all of those needs and will they'll suggest an appropriate solution. So yes, we do have financial planning software.
Okay.
That's available to advisors.
So I have two questions. One is for Sarah. Sarah, will there be any other banks that you guys will be adding to the platform? I know we've got TP for new. Republic's always been there, but some other ones have like Refundo, Refund Advance. Would you guys be doing any of those integrations?
For right now, we are just gonna be having TPG and Republic Bank, but who knows what will come in the future. But I can't say yes, can't say no. But those are the partners that we are working with and will be working with for the next tax year. But who knows? I mean, I would assume it's on the long-term roadmap. That's.
You had 2 questions?
Oh, I did, and it almost went blank on my second one. Okay, it was more for the development. As far as the prior years, in regards to, I used to get e-file multiple years back. Has that been stopped by IRS for the reason why we can't go back more than 2 years to e-file?
We've heard that one a few times.
Yes.
So the IRS does limit current year -2 is as far back as you can go for e-filing. Anything prior to that, you are required to paper file.
Yep.
So that's not a limitation of TaxAct, that's a limitation of the IRS.
State returns are different, though.
Oh, that's true. Thank you.
Many states allow you to file. I think California lets you go back 6 years.
Do you have any marketing material as far as postcards that we can just put our name and address on, stick a stamp on it and send it out to clients?
Referring to that you are a TaxAct professional. I get,
I just want to know whether or not you have some marketing materials that I can send that says I'm a tax preparer. Come and see me.
well, that would be something you'd want to brand yourself. I don't know if you'd want, I like to associate myself with TaxAct. When somebody knows that you've paid for software and you are actually a professional tax preparer, we're not doing printing out the papers and mailing in the tax returns for our clients. But on my website, I've got TaxAct all over it. So, but when it comes to your business cards, you could put, somewhere over there that, TaxAct professional, tax preparer. But you should be focused on making sure that you're branding yourself and your company first and foremost.
Yeah, we've looked at like marketing templates and things of that nature for tax professionals. The challenges that we have are honestly legal, right? Because different states have different requirements. There's different laws that regard to advertising and things of that nature. And so we typically recommend that EROs and firms consult with a local marketing firm to help them with those type of things so that they're familiar with your jurisdiction and what can and cannot be done.
All right, I'm running back to the back. I know Julie online has a couple questions she's put in the chat. Julie says, I've already pre-ordered the software for next season. Is there going to be additional charges for e-signatures and other updates? Running back to Sean.
Y'all give it up for Matt for running back and forth. Love to see
Getting
it.
this exercise.
Yeah.
Get yourself a cookie.
Yeah.
So that is to be determined at this point. A lot of that will bank on what partner we choose and what the solution looks like. So there potentially could be a charge per signature or there may not. But as that evolves, we certainly keep everybody informed, let them know once we've decided who the official partner would be and then what the program is going to look like.
I have a question. Is there any sources that TaxAct offers the tax professionals when when we file a state return, like for like the status of their state returns? Like, does TaxAct offer anything where we're able to help them with their state returns?
Like the EF status or like what you're
Just
talking
like the
about finding
refund?
out what the refund status is?
Yes.
I go to I refer to the state websites usually.
Okay.
And generally most states, several states, obviously you have to be the actual taxpayer to log in and create an account. Several states allow you to actually check the status if you know the social security number and the exact refund amount.
This is for Jake. You're talking about developing different things. I do a lot of Schedule Cs and a lot of them have home offices.
Mhm.
I would like to see that a square footage of the home held, so I don't have to go back and look at last year's, or if the client says, well, that it automatically pulls over.
Okay, so you're saying, I want to make sure I understand. You're talking about like when you have a client who it's the next year and last year they did a Schedule C and they had the square footage.
If
it was
the
for
address
home
is the
office.
same.
Yeah,
Same.
go
just
ahead
make
and
sure,
just
yeah.
bring that over.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I've
Yeah.
actually not heard that before and I love that suggestion.
You
So
know, and-
thank you.
Nodding heads.
And
Yeah.
I have made a suggestion that I would like that home office in the front before
Yeah.
entering expense. I want to knock out the home office because you already know whether you're going to use the simplified or the regular method. So just knock that one out first and then get to expenses. I've been wanting that one too.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be directed to you guys. For the first time, I've used Client Exchange this year. Okay. I also thank God Protection Plus came with the firm level. That was so beautiful because a lot of my clients couldn't afford the $49.95 or didn't want to add it on. And I'm like, telling them, you should get it. It's a peace of mind. They not understand it's really my peace of mind too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coming in with the firm level, that $10, I don't mind paying that. The agreement is a little bit different because I did have to get the updated agreement. Thank y'all for pushing that. But the Client Exchange, it's some kinks there. And it's very cumbersome, but it's such a beautiful site because when I sent those customers those links, they act like I had given them superpower to upload all their things to the, to the site and everything, and the way you made it look like it actually came from me. Are you guys working on Client Exchange to make it more user friendly? Because I love it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I'm very I always get really excited when anyone mentions Client Exchange because I feel like what's funny is we push it. But like, it's one of those funny things that it's like
Not
people,
use it.
not as many people use it as you think. And then when they use it though, and they really unlock it, they're like, oh, I actually do like this, or this has benefited me, Obviously it's not the case for everyone, but for us, yeah, we are wanting to improve Client Exchange. I can tell you that it's funny you mentioned this, literally, again, peek behind the curtain. We're all friends here. I spent like 3 months last year just really researching deep into what could make Client Exchange better, or what are other programs doing that are benefiting preparers, right? That maybe we need to think about embracing. And so it is something that we're wanting to explore. I would say I would love for us to have a follow-up conversation about what I would love to know, because I want to know what one person considers user-friendly. Someone else may say, oh, I don't need that, right? And so it's about figuring out what are the right things to devote our attention to and to put the right amount of effort into so that it's the right amount of value for you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jake said. The other thing that I would add to that is, as we review Client Exchange and functionality, we are trying to project into the future as well, using maybe a different technology tool to be able to do that in the future, because technology unfortunately gets antiquated very quickly due to bad actors and things like that. So one of the things we're trying to do is just a portal enough, right?
Yep.
Is there other functionalities or capabilities that you need? Right. And I know there's some basic ones. I mean, those that use it will know, drag and drop would be wonderful, right? Being able to get a client back into their account and reset their password would be wonderful. We're aware of those things. And then of course, we're always looking from a security perspective, should we do that? Right? Is it better for you to migrate their documents to a new account and disable accounts? So we understand that. We're also trying to be very cost sensitive with Client Exchange. As I look at a lot of the competitors to Client Exchange, when I do my annual pricing review, they charge a monthly charge of what we charge annually. And so we're also trying to be very cost conscious for you all as well. And so like Jake said, I would encourage anybody who is interested in the Client Exchange evolution, have a conversation with Jake, because he is our lead UX designer. And we'd love to get opinions so that we know what that evolution looks like.
Okay, I'm gonna come right back to you. I'm headed back to my online friends again.
Now he's just walking. He was like, I'm done running. Yeah, I know.
So I can still e-file a 2019 tax return? That'd be correct,
Yes.
Sean? Yes.
And they better, because these credits, the stimulus, people are leaving money on the table. It was one of the best things that I did when I put out a post, you know, through my social media saying, you better hurry because, you know, you go too far, all that was just free money that was given out. And people, I've had clients come who hadn't filed taxes in like 9 years because they're just terrified. They don't know, but you're always going to owe that money. You're just not always you're not going to get it all back, right? So, but right now, that's a great incentive for you guys to try to get some new clients, because if you owe, look, this is going to offset some of what you owe because you've got all these stimulus payments, right? So yeah, it's a good one right now, especially when we're done with tax season. You know, we get into this, well, we all just woohoo and celebrate, but we all get into this little, like, you know, a slower mode, and we still want to do what we do. We got to keep our brains going. So with all the extensions that you file, you work on those, but in terms of recruiting new clients, we're trying to get these people that are scared to do their taxes because they're scared of the money that they owe. Why not tell them, look, whatever you do owe, you're going to have a lot of help right now in paying down that debt because of all those 3 stimulus payments that everybody got.
Okay, Sean, I'm coming back for this one. We have someone wanting to know what client exchange is, and if you can just give a brief explanation of it.
Absolutely. Client Exchange is our in-house secure web portal that allows you to white label your business on that service and allow for your clients to securely pass documents back and forth between the two of you. The other thing that's really nice about it is that it has a little notification tool that allows, when you drop a document into your client's folder and they've registered their email address with it, it will send them a little notice saying that that document's in there for them to review. And vice versa, if that document gets completed back for you, you get a notice of what client sent you what document and what folder it's in. So you don't have to sit there and monitor an email account anymore. You'll proactively get an email saying you've got an actionable item.
Well, plus also too, I will tell you, the one thing that I'm always really terrified of is, you know, people can hack your email, people can hack your text messages. And so when for example, if it's a new client and I need their bank account routing number, you know, I used to go and just tell them, can you just write it down on a piece of paper and take a picture of it and email me the picture? At least I feel that that's a little bit more secure. But when you've got something that's covered under a whole big security blanket, it really does give you a lot of relief. And it also too, it's a great pitch to your clients. Hey, look, your data is safe with me because I have this service.
So question, when you were going through the slides before, there were a couple of events that were on here that I knew nothing about.
Okay.
Will you guys in your emails let us know where TaxAct will be? And that kind of helps us know what other opportunities are available to us as tax preparers or positioning, because I didn't know what NAEP was, and you guys are going to be there with big bells on.
So, yeah.
We go
so-
everywhere with bells on. Though.
Yeah, I can
we
answer.
announce ourselves.
I can answer that question for you. So if you go to our homepage and go up to the top, click resources and scroll down to training, it has all of our, we have a couple more of these events we're doing this year. And then it also has all the national conferences that we'll be at. So National Association of Tax Preparers, National Association of Enrolled Agents. We're doing an AI CPA next week. Megan and some of our team who's in the back will be doing the Accounting Web Summit in San Diego. So all of those are listed there, and there's a link that you can go out to their sites and see what conferences are going to be there. So yes, it's there. Another question. I got smart and took a picture of it so I didn't have to run to the back. It would be good to have a tool that would pull, AKA scrape the numbers off of the face of documents received, like 1099s, W-2s, etc. So I know Jake and Sean probably have some information around this.
Yeah,
absolutely. Part of our initiative this year is to really double down on what we call data conversion or ease of use for you folks, bringing client data in. We kind of last year spent time on, W-2 services, 1099 services, so that you can use that control number to pull data in. But we are looking at doing things a little differently this year to look at things like PDF conversion. The tricky part of that is that the tech has to be right? You got to have the non-image PDF, right?
Yep.
And things like that. So some of it's in our control and some of it's out of our control, but we are looking at more enhanced and more productive tools to help accomplish those type of goals.
Yeah, no, I 100% what Sean just said. And also, so like what Sean's talking about is like the capability to do it, right? Part of my responsibility as the UX designer is not just that you can do the thing, right? But that you can do it and you have delight when you're doing it, right? It's not a painful experience. And so that's part of what we're also looking at. We're not just looking at it from the tech side, right? Of going, okay, well, how do we do this technology wise? We're also going, okay, but like, when would the user expect to be able to do this? How many steps do they want there to be of separation between scraping those numbers off of a form and then having those put on a different form, right? And then what other actions may the user want to do after they get that data, right? It's some type of clipboard feature. So those are some of the things we're figuring out. I will tell you this for real. My email is jacob.etheridge@taxact.com. If you have any opinions on that or where you would expect for things like that to be, I'm not kidding. Like I just gave you my email. Email me. Like let's have a conversation, because those are the things that I'm actively investigating right now to make sure that it is a pleasant experience for you. It's not just something you grit your teeth through. That's most of tax season, but something you actually enjoy doing.
Thank you for that.
I try.
We just had an online question asked, what is the best phone number to call to reserve my tax software? So I'm going to go ahead and give that out right now.
Yep.
So it is 319-536-3571. That number again, 319-536-3571.
And that's Sean's personal cell phone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Operator standing by.
Yeah.
Jacob, this one's for you and regarding software integration. I know you got the partnership with TaxDome, and TaxDome likes using the word integration very loosely. They integrate with everything.
Yes.
But when I'm talking about integration, I'm really talking about moving data. So trying to eliminate multiple points of entry where we're repeating data entry of the same information. Is there going to be anything put together as far as a deeper integration with TaxDome to move taxpayer data in between the systems? And then as another option, Zapier, to be able to pull or push data in and out of the software?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. What's your name? Tony. Tony, I could hug you right now. My reasoning for that is sorry. The reason I say that is because literally last year, a big conversation was, what does the word integrate mean? So what we realized was that last year, I think we were using the same vocabulary as a lot of our users, but we had different dictionaries, right? So it was like, we were like, oh, this integrates well with it. And then we were hearing from users, this isn't really integration. It's like, it's like there, but it's not integrated, right? And so that's been an active conversation this year as we're planning for TY22, is figuring out like, how does integration look? How do we have data communicating back and forth? As far as TaxDome goes, I'll tell you this. I know on that front, I think that's more in TaxDome's realm of what they choose to have go back and forth and not. For us, what we're trying to figure out, especially with like this e-filing, e-signature solution, is we want it to be deeply integrated. And what I mean by that is, having spoken to users, we have heard, I'm so tired of having to have like 3 different programs open to just do a return, I've heard that pain point so many times. I've heard them say, I wish I just had one program that I could go to and actually do the darn thing, right?
There's only so much room on your desk for a monitor.
I just heard Nairee just got a 3rd monitor and her life was changed.
Oh yeah, productivity.
Yeah. And so what I say that to say is, when we're looking at these solutions, the question you just asked of, well, okay, how can this communicate data back? That's where we're starting. That's not a thing we figure out later. That's somewhere we're starting out of going, if it does not have this deep level of integration, then it's not the right solution, right? And so what I say by that is, for those of you who enjoy using TaxDome, you'll still continue to be able to use TaxDome. but we may have a few more, deeper integrations that if you choose to use those and you find those to be more favorable to your workflow, fantastic.
Are they one of the candidates for the e-signature solution?
Yeah, we're looking at really all sorts of capabilities for the e-signature solution. I am curious, how many people in this room have used like an e-signature solution, like a sign request or a DocuSign? Yeah, I said DocuSign and hands went up. So yeah, okay, that's great to know, just to kind of know a base level of what people's previous experience has been.
Yeah, and to tack on to what Jake is saying here, the other challenge that I see we need to overcome is the difference between integration and automation.
Yep.
Right? Because there is a 7216 component of automation. And so we will take a firm stance of not setting you up to be uncompliant.
Yep.
So that's the other consideration that will potentially, didn't come out as fast as we had intended to, because at the end of the day, we want to protect you as our partner to make sure that we're not leading you down a path that's causing you to be uncompliant with IRS regulations.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will say there's actually a comment, not a question, but a comment online that it appears that TaxDome and TaxAct could be actually competing with each other with the TaxAct client exchange, and that's couldn't be further from the truth. We just know that our clients have different levels of needs, and that's really where that TaxDome partnership came in from. We knew that some people for client exchange, that was perfect for them. They didn't need any more bells and whistles. But for other people, they wanted more access to e-signature, or with TaxDome, you can even go in and build your website if you don't have a website, or use one of their templates. So that's where we're just looking to find the right fit. I can tell you right now, we've got plenty of things to do before we go and build the ability for you to build a website in TaxAct. So that's really why, sometimes, we have that determination to make. Is it better to build it in-house, or is it better to provide a partnership for y'all? So I have a question for those of you in the room. I've had a question from the online folks that they want to know if it has been beneficial for you to actually attend this in person. So if I could see a show of hands. Yeah. So all the online people, I think you're getting that answer that is yes, worth attending in person.
Well, yes, they missed out on the margaritas.
Yeah. Well,
I thought she had you missed out on Dolly Parton, live music, and margaritas today.
Well, I just wanted to mention something. So, when we're talking about all of these add-ons and all these different features, you have to assess the size of your practice. How many preparers do you have? I mean, if it's just you then know exactly what behooves you, what sort of features you want to use, and what additional add-ons in the client manager and all the TaxDome and whatnot. But I think as your business grows is where TaxAct can grow with you.
Yep. Well, and I was going to just echo that with, I don't know if my mic's on, I'm just going to talk loud. So what Matt was saying about, not competing, we're not competing, but what we're wanting to do, something I've discovered after talking to so many preparers over this last year, is that, not any one of y'all is the exact same. All of y'all have just slightly different quirks and workflows, right? And that's wonderful. That's how you have learned to best use your system and workflow. So what we can't do, right, is we can't shoehorn you into something and say, well, just fit and comply and fit into this. This is your one way to do it. Our real kind of goal and the way we view it is we are an organization that is deeply empathetic. When we get on for these user interviews, I mean, Sean can attest to this, Matt can attest, we'll talk to our users, and I'll sit there and have an interview with them to learn their needs. And we'll have like 20 people on the call that are just there to take notes and to learn from users and learn what they need. And we take that into consideration to go, okay, hey, this is what this set of users needs, and we need to go make that, and it may not be perfect for everyone else, but that's okay. Right. So it's figuring out those times that just for the sake of resources, yes, we may have to go, hey, this is our one size fits all solution right now, but we're always going to look and say, how can we best meet you where you're at? I'll be honest, taking that approach doesn't make us the most quick at doing things, but what I can assure you is it does. And I really mean this. I think we are much more empathetic, and we try to be much more understanding to your needs than even some of the other bigger guys out there, right? And so, you know, again, yes, please bear with us and have some patience for some things, but ultimately at the end of the day, we want to make sure that what we make for you, we get it right instead of being the people that get it out first.
But, and I'll tell you, they thrive on feedback. I've never met I've never known a company that loves their customers so much. I mean, it's probably some of the Southern charm that they've got or whatnot, but I am constantly asked, what can we do better? How can we make this work better for you? These are not tax preparers. They know what we go through, but they thrive on our feedback. So if you ever have anything that bothers you about the software, it might not be something that can be resolved right away, but they will download that into their brains and it will be worked on.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Especially this one right here, because he just, yeah.
Well, technically mine's not a question, but the feedback information is a good segue to what I was going to say. I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody here or not, but I do appreciate everything y'all have done to put this event together. I know myself, I have a little more confidence in knowing about bank products, et cetera, right now that I have wondered for years. So I do appreciate y'all putting in all the hard work to put this together and to answer our many, many questions. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Really.
All right. All right. Last one.
I know I've asked a bunch, but one of the things that I do is I do planning for people. My business is more insurance, retirement planning. And the thing that I'm wanting to know is there a way to add a module onto, I know you have the little look forward based on current year, but what I'm looking for is to basically show the client the tax brackets. In other words, you have a client, single person, they made $35,000 for the year, but yet they're still in the 10 or 12% tax bracket, but their effective tax bracket is going to be lower than that. It's going to be somewhere around 9.5%. They could take money out of a retirement account up to about $49,000 and only pay a nominal tax on that, because who in here believes that tax rates are going to go down? Okay, exactly. And I'm wanting to know if there's, or even if you guys know of a software that I could use, because I don't even know if there's a software out there. Now I know that some of the tax programs use it, but I'm not going to pay what they're asking for their software, because I can do it on my own.
Well,
cheaper.
yeah, we could sit with a calculator and
Yeah,
and
it's
figure
easier
that
to do
out,
that, but I'm wanting to have basically a printout that says, hey, if you take out this much more money, you're going to pay this in the tax
or
on it.
anything that you do.
So
If you make a little bit more money, this is where you end up going and whatnot. I would be
Is
interested in
it
that
better
too.
to pay your taxes now than to pay it later? Because again, you turn forever tax money into never tax money. That's Ed Slott, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just wanting to know if there's, I don't think that would be a huge adjustment to the software.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's funny you bring that up. When we were in Cedar Rapids doing some user interview testing, remember I said I was freezing to death up there in February. We had several preparers. They literally said what they do is they're almost like their time at the end with their client, like with the actual, here's your copy of everything. They build more time in because they'll sit there and say, okay, now let me tell you about how if you had done blank, 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 this could have been better. Right. And so they're going through this basically like an education summary, if you will, to benefit their client. And their clients actually will say that is one of the reasons why I go to you instead of going to H&R Block or whatever, because I like that you help me, and so it's funny that you mentioned that, because that is something that we've had discussions about, and we're figuring out, right, how do we present that? How can we have that be something in the program that, while not tax advice, right, but is something that is basically letting people know, hey, here's a little bit of a peek into the crystal ball of in the next few years, if you do blank, 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 you could benefit. So it is something we are actively investigating. I'm happy you brought it up, because it just keeps the trend floating to the top as we think about the things that we need to be adding in the next year or two. So thanks for suggesting.
That's really complex though, because when you think about it, we can't know off the top of our head right away what's it going to do when you buy a house. Okay, so somebody says, what if I buy a house? Well, I don't know how much you buy in the house for. What's the down payment? What's your interest rate?
Yeah.
when it comes to it, for me, I like to be able to add those kinds of things onto what I do because I get to charge now an hourly fee, right? So aside from preparing the tax return, do you want that advice? I've got to book a time on my calendar. Tell me what you're planning on doing. I will get back to you. I'll do those calculations. I'll get back to you. And it adds additional income to my business. So, it's good to make sure that your clients are aware, because we all know that we get those clients that got a raise and then they come back and they go, what, I owe taxes now? Yes, congratulations, you made more money. So there you go. Yes. Spin it to the positive there.
We do have, I don't know if you've seen it in the software, we do have a tax calculator that you can put some information and it'll give you, it's pretty basic. So, okay, I didn't know if you're, okay. No, that's very good. That's very good. All right, so we've come to the time, end of our Q&A. We're gonna reset up here, get Nairi set up. Okay, we're ready to get started. We've got Nairi Sarkisian. She was on our panel earlier. She is a TaxAct professional champion. She's a longtime user of the software and is gonna walk you through just some basics on how to complete a return in the software. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nairi.
Thank you. So let's all just, I've done a couple of these and then we went virtual because of the pandemic, but I'll tell you, there's no better feeling than doing one of these after tax season. And we have been through the ringer, right? I mean, we went for a decade without barely any changes to the tax codes, right? I mean, there's always the difference in miles per gallon, how much you get, how many cents you get. But with the Tax Cuts Jobs Act, then we had COVID. So all, the stimulus, the first 10,500 of unemployment, no tax, all of this stuff was just piled onto us. And when you have a software like TaxAct to back you up, you feel a lot better about it, because I can't only imagine that there was a bunch of people, techies, just running around with their heads cut off, trying to figure out how to quickly implement all of these changes to the software. So you guys all use the software. I'm sure what I'm going to show you, you guys already know. I'm just going to show a couple of some of my favorite features. So how many of you guys have more than one preparer at your firm? Good for you. Good for you. Oh, look, see, and it's going to let me know to make sure that it is me. There we go. So when you delegate tax returns to another preparer at your firm, as the main administrator, the main preparer, you can then take a look at what they're doing, make sure that they're, especially if they're new. I mean, I think I mentioned to somebody that I don't have another preparer that I use, but every season I get from the local college an intern. So they don't ever prepare any taxes, but they do kind of more grunt work stuff. This is one of my favorite parts, the tip of the day. Sometimes when you're busy, you just quick close. But some of the stuff I've discovered with the software just by this tip of the day. So we'll close that out. And I've got my Jane, not John, because she works too. Jane Doe. Before actually I open that return, let's go back. Sorry, the internet's a little bit slow here. So the software itself, the tabs change. So once you open up a client return, you've got all your tools up here, right? So you can go straight to e-file, you can go straight to print, you can add your notes. But when I usually generally open up the software and go straight to the client, I have right now, because it's personal information, I usually have a lot more columns, because sometimes I'll get a phone call and I don't remember how much your refund's supposed to be. The software is always open for us, right? So I usually have all of that. The EF status, one of my favorites, obviously got some extensions here. But even just the right click on the quick actions. Yes, there's several ways that you can get to it, whichever one you're more comfortable with. If you want to go straight up top and print, you'll have a different print menu than you would when you're within the client return, right? That's where you can customize. I just want to print the depreciation schedule, for example, right? So, but here, now you've got basically everything that you would need to access without opening the return. If you've got a lot of clients, those, I know for me, that 30 or 3 seconds waiting for it to open up, instead of having to open it all up, I can go straight here, I can print it, I can e-file it, I can check the status of it without having to actually open the return. So that's one of my favorite features. I don't know what you guys might be using for your appointments. What I use this for, because again, it's really nice. We only hear from our clients once a year, but it's nice that you can send a happy birthday, little card, little something, because they ignore us the rest of the year, right? It's not until come, January, February, March that they're on top of us. So I always do that with my clients for birthdays. The document manager I use pretty often. I'm still a little bit old school. Every tax season have a notebook. And of course, whatever I write down in that notebook cannot be something that I would have to refer to for, my due diligence, right? Unless I scan it, but God forbid, you lose that paperwork. If you've got your notes on there that the client told me this is how much they spent in supplies for their Schedule C, but you don't have it anywhere here, how are you going to justify that you entered the right information or that your client actually told you that? So sometimes I'll go through and actually scan those pages, add them to the tax return, add them to the client. But so this feature, the professional reports, especially when you have a client that's going, what, $250, $300 for what? You want to see your 36-page tax return? Here it is. That's all the work that we do. So notifications is also another one that I check daily. There's always updates. And once you do that update, then it goes through all your clients to make sure that there's no changes and gives you that report. So back to a client manager here. All right, so let's get to Jane Doe. Now, when I first started using the software, the minute I implemented that Q&A, I never looked back. I don't go through the long form of a return, even if it's a complicated return. I will add in what I need to add in, but that Q&A just gets you right to it. And of course, you want to retain your clients so that all that information is carried forward from last year. That way you don't need to re-enter anything. Just be aware, obviously. Did you get married? Did you get a divorce? Did you have any kids? Did you move? New driver's license and things like that. You always have to remember that. So the Q&A is what I generally go through. And one of my favorite things that I, after years of using TaxAct, discovered and went, where has this been? I can't believe that I had no idea that I could just go here and type extension and with internet. Not only do you now have the resources, but this jump to links. Anything you type in that search box, you go jump to, and voila, that's happening here. Come on. This is not TaxAct, this is internet. Okay, all right. There you go. All right, so it immediately brings up that form, or because I'm in the Q&A, it's going to immediately go to that Q&A. So let's say you weren't sure, you needed to check with your client to see what they got in the advanced child tax credit, right? You know that they have children, you know what they're owed, but you're not sure and they're not sure. This thing just started, right? Where they're giving the money in advance now. And, God bless you if you don't need to check your bank account all the time to make sure that, when you get a deposit, if you don't know that you had that deposit, good for you. Every dime that goes into my account, I go, yep, that's good, cha-ching. So this is great because now you don't have to go all the way through the module. You don't have to go through the Q&A. You just go straight to that jump to link, right? So the tabs at the top we went over, right? We've got 4 different menus here. We've got your top toolbar, file, edit, prepare, returns, all of that. Then underneath there, same again, these 2 bars, those 2 toolbars at the top are not going to change no matter where you are in the software. If you're in the middle of a return, if you're starting a new return, those 2 are always going to be there because that's going to be information that you will want to utilize whether you're in the middle of a tax return or just at your client manager. The features down below the basic info, pro features, federal, state review, filing, and all of that. This is also going to be the same. That said, though, you're going to have different information, right? So when you go to basic information, if you've got somebody who has a child, you're going to have that dependent in there and whatnot. So again, I use the Q&A. It really cuts a lot of time out for me. If once in a while you'll get a client that might not provide you with all of the information, right? So you've got a self-employed person who tells you they're waiting on a 1099. So I hate it when I start a return and have to go back, because I don't care how well I think I did and whatever notes I took, I go right back to the beginning. I just feel the need to double check, even though I know I've entered the information. So, but when you just want to, again, besides using the help jump to link, if I'm just going to go to federal right here, I could go straight to income. I could go straight to deductions, credits, taxes, miscellaneous, and summary. And the additional, it's going to ask you those questions, for example, with the stimulus, right? The Recovery Act, the 1,400 that everybody got in March. It's going to put that in there in the Q&A immediately, but it might not ask you directly if you have any childcare costs, for example, to enter. So you do have to remember to go through each menu, go through the credits, make sure that you have to sometimes remind your client, oh, did you put solar panels on your home? Hello, let's get that credit for you. So again, the Q&A feature is my favorite part. We'll go through right now for Jane. If we go, once I go to this this last toolbar right here, if I want to get back to the Q&A, all I got to do is go back up to basic info. And then here is all the Q&A basic info, right? So if you've gone through the module once, you're not going to get back to where it's going to ask you the questions specifically. Did we just lose something? Oh, there we go. Okay. So it's not going to, now we have to actually go to that menu for the Q&A. So now we're going to go, we need to enter, business income, everything that's blue, clickable link. If any of you guys have corporate clients and you also do the, partnerships, LLPs, LLCs, and you also do their personal tax returns, one of my favorite things is all of that just gets imported. The Schedule K one just shows up on that personal return. So makes that a breeze once you've got the corporate filing done. So entering all of the federal information here, your income, your deductions and credits. Again, reminding people that not everybody gets some of these deductions and credits. I've had a client tell me that they had to move for work. Well, there's only a certain amount of people that get that relocation, right? And the one thing that I really feel very, very badly for with a lot of people during the pandemic was that they incurred a lot of costs working from home. Your company might not have gotten you a second monitor or a printer, and they're not paying for your Wi-Fi and your electricity. So many people ask me, how come I can't get credit for any of that? Start a side hustle. Create your own business. You can then get you want to write off your cell phone, become a dog walker, whatever it is that you do. Now, be well advised that the IRS is going to, if you're using the same NAICS code, 3-4 years in a row and have losses, the IRS is going to say, this is a hobby or you really suck at your job. So you can't keep milking it by having, continual losses to offset their, AGI to reduce their taxable income. So, but I have been self-employed my entire adult life.
I would disagree with you on that totally, because as long as the regulations state, as long as you're out there putting out business cards and you're soliciting business, I haven't seen that.
Well, no, and I will agree to that. And I will tell you, there's what we're told is there's no gray area in taxes. It's black and white. This is right, that's wrong. Whatever I put on a tax return, I could stand up in the court of tax and talk to a judge and justify that my client needed that supply. But the one thing I tell all of my clients is, don't ever tell me you spent money when you did not spend the money. The first step in an audit is they just want to see the debit. I don't need to see the Target receipt. I just want to know you bought something at Target that you're writing off, you know? So I make sure to calibrate. I'm in LA, I do a lot of tax returns for musicians and makeup artists and whatnot. And so, hey, I'm not going to ask you if you bought that dress to go out or if you bought that dress for work, but did you buy the dress? You have to have bought the dress. So yes, I suppose I do know for a fact that continually using massive amount of losses with a measly amount of income on a Schedule C is going to raise a red flag at some point. But we all also know that there's not really anybody right now raising red flags. Now, we do have the infrastructure bill that's going to go through, and we're going to have a lot more people working at the IRS, which could be good for us, because if you need to get a transcript for a client and I don't want to be on hold all day, I delegate that to my client. Go ahead, you get on the phone, get that transcript, get me that copy of that W-2 from that tax return in 2017 that you need me to file. So anyway, let's go back to where we are entering the return. So all here we can go through, we can review. So for example, and one of the questions I get often, especially with Schedule C clients, is how can I utilize this business that I have to flow expenses through, not necessarily just your cell phone or your internet, but investments. These clients need to be making, you have way less of a cap than as an individual. If I'm just going to put money in an IRA, right? You've got SEP accounts, you can do a simple 401k for them or have them do it. So all of this can be filtered through the Schedule C. I also too always encourage, what we should all be encouraged to have property, but if you can't buy a property to live in yourself, investment property is a great way to reduce your taxable income, because we've got now this, although your home grows in value, it depreciates because it does get older. So you get to add that on there. So back to this, so the deductions, and then we've got all of our credits here. So the great part about using a professional software is that we don't need to do the calculations, right? So you can enter $17,000 for childcare and dependent costs. It's going to calibrate it and give you the amount that you can actually write off based on that client's adjusted gross income, right? And also too, if you've got, if it's a married couple and one of them is working and the other one doesn't go to school and doesn't work, you've got to make sure that they are aware that childcare and dependent credit does not apply to them. So most of the time this menu will change from year to year. I know that Jake showed you guys 2022, yes? Okay, so there's always going to be changes. I like to get my version, my next tax year's version, as soon as possible, because though the interface is essentially the same, there are a lot of different options that get added on, especially like, for example, we all had to wait for anybody who took out money from their 401k to parse their taxes out over 3 years. It took till, what was it, the end of March for that 8915 to come out. And most of my clients that are at that level where they do have their own 401ks, these are the clients that are on the phone with me beginning of February wanting to get their tax returns done. So our hands are tied when we don't have that, but you just, the minute that it is available, TaxAct puts it in there. So this, I know that any early filers I had last year with that, it came about after Biden passed that first 10,500 of unemployment, not taxed. So I was getting calls from my clients going, they sent me more money. I said, good for you. Good for you. But so we had a lot last year. This past tax season, I don't think, after every single update I did, I don't think one tax return changed. Last year, every one that I did there was changes, right? Because it was late to get some of that paperwork out, and it's not TaxAct's fault. The minute that the IRS releases it is when it gets in here for us. So, okay, we've got credits, and then we get to the taxes, right? So when I enter W-2s, I generally will, if I can automatically import it, I will. That being said, in the state of California, with our state disability, the software will enter it. It goes in box 14, but it also has another place that you need to enter it, right? So I'll always get that alert that there's something in box 14 that hasn't been allocated for. I need to make sure that that was allocated for in the appropriate place. So especially if a client has maintained the same job, I don't always need to go back and double check that W-2, but it's a force of habit to just make sure, especially if you are entering it yourself. I'm sure we're all good at 10 key, but you still, 5 tax returns in and we get a little bit hazy brained. So just make sure you're double checking all of that, even when you do the automatic importing. So we'll continue here. And then now the bank account information. I don't know how many of you guys have access to your clients' bank accounts. If you do have Schedule C employees, that I charge an extra fee if they don't want to go through their expenses, and maybe they have an online vendor, they're an online vendor at Etsy or whatnot. If they don't want to give me that information, I charge them a fee to do their financial analysis, and I put it all together, and that way I can put all of their expenses together for them. When I do get access to their bank accounts, the one problem that I've found, and I think probably if you guys have ever tried to log into your client's IRS account, the new 2-factor authorization, right? I work late at night, so it's 2 a.m. and I'm doing a tax return and my client gets a text message with a code. So you want to be aware of that. And again, this is really sensitive information. Text messaging that information, especially when you write username, password, you're just asking for trouble. So be very, very careful with how you exchange that information, whether you are using Client Exchange. Like I said, I like to have my clients, if they can't, if I don't use Client Exchange for them, that write it down, take a picture. That's, to me, the safest way, but still you are putting yourself in a position of liability, because that information in the wrong hands, your fault. You don't want to be blamed for that. So we'll go through, and anytime you answer a question or don't answer a question, one of my favorite parts of the software is that we get warned. You've got those alerts. You really can't, some of the things you can't actually even override until you correct it, right? But for example, if we go back here and I go to enter, let's go to income here, and let's pretend that they made $2 on a cryptocurrency, right? So the form that you go to, we're adding the form here. I love that we can enter the information up top, but we all still know what the form looks like. And so when you come down here, you, if you prefer, can enter it directly into the form here, but at the very least you see the form. Sometimes we need to remember what the instructions are on the form, right? Can't remember. Well, you enter everything up top, it's gonna be put into that form. But if you wanted to, for example, it's not gonna ask me here if they were proceeds from collectibles, right? But if I needed to indicate that, I could go straight down to the form and check off that box. And you can use both simultaneously. So I'll enter whatever information I want in the Q&A, get down to that form, adjust anything that I need to adjust down there. So we have 2 options now. I started preparing tax returns on paper. You print out the 1040, you enter everything in there, and you mail it off. So there is a sense of peace for me when I know that I can actually just also look at the form. And aside from that, when you go over here to the IRS form instructions, you can just pull up the instructions. Maybe you forgot how a certain calculation is made. Maybe you forgot what the difference is between, the simplified or the regular method. You can pull up the form. It's right there for you. So especially when, my client asks me why, they always ask you, Why? Why this tax? Why that? If I don't have the verbiage to explain it to them, you pull this up, you read it. This is exactly why it happens. And this is per the IRS, and this is the code and the IRS revenue code. And that's why right there. Not my fault. So yes, so the forms are great, especially too, when we're talking about, I don't know, does the 1099B have a worksheet that's, no, we don't have a worksheet here. But like, for example, if worksheets are something that we should be doing just to cover our liability, right? So I did enter this information and come to the conclusion that, earned income credit is allowed. So those worksheets, you can attach that to the individual tax return. I'll get to a place where that worksheet is actually available there, that you can actually enter it and it becomes part of the client in TaxAct. So those are important to keep track of. For the longest time, I still did, printing out and putting in a file in my office. I still am very old school that way. There's a lot of paper that I go through still, but I don't print out returns unless they're older clients who feel a little bit better about having it printed out. But the beauty of having it printed out is that people actually see it, because I doubt that any of my clients actually really go through the entire tax return. When it's printed out, it's there. They can actually flip through it. Explaining the taxes, it's explaining taxes to your clients is important. And if you do have the time and you do get that return completed, going through it with your clients is important so that they understand, and then they don't get, gripe at you when they owe more taxes. So this would be, now we're at the income for 1099B. Let's get to when we get to the summary. So this is just the straightforward, here's what it is. This is your taxable income. This is your total taxes. This is your refund or what you owe. And then generally here, before I move on to a state return, I generally will download a PDF of it and I just save it for myself, because sometimes if I'm not doing a tax return, I don't have TaxAct open, I like to just pull that up and take a look if I have a question, if a client has a question about it. So I generally always download it, but I use the cloud. None of my information is stored on my hard drive. TaxAct takes care of that for me. So if something happens to my computer, if there's a crash, all of that information has been saved in the cloud and it's secure. So we'll go to continue and state returns. So we're all in Tennessee-ish. Some people not. Do you guys do a lot of state returns? Yes. Okay. The one thing I like, especially after this year where people relocated a lot, right? So you've got half your income was earned in California, and then the other half you moved to, Arizona or something. You have to prepare that non-resident or part-time resident return, right? So with a lot of these online preparation companies, they do not do a good job at that. They require that you always do the non-resident return first before you do the resident return. With this, you can go state by state. You can do the state they live in right now. You can do the state they used to live in right now, or used to live in, and you can do it in whatever order you want. So I don't add the state modules to it until I get a client that I need that state for. So, and keep in mind also too, that just because a state might not have income tax, there may be business tax. So you need to make sure that if they've got an LLC, that they're aware that they still do need to file some kind of record with the Secretary of State, right? So state returns, we would continue through that. And during this whole time, you've got right up there your federal refund, your California refund. Again, the help, the tools, I refer to that a lot. One thing that I like is I've implemented over the past couple of years, because I think I'm sure we've all gotten stiffed before, where you've filed a tax return and, come October, you're still waiting to collect payment on it. I decided many years ago, I am not filing your return. You pay me, I will file it. So I will then when I get to the filing, and go through the entire process. I can't do it now because obviously we don't have a real return here, but I get through the whole process and I submit e-file later. So then it goes onto a list. And when I go up here to the e-file, well, hold on, let's go back to clients here. Oops. If I go back here to clients, yeah, I just realized that I could just go up to prepare. Yes. So prepare. So if I want to go and submit client e-files, now this is one thing. Oof, I have not done an update. So, but if I had done an update, so here's one thing, and I talked to Jake about this. When I save an e-file to submit later, you would think that then you go up to prepare and you go to submit those e-files and select it from there. Sometimes I forget that I've saved it to submit later. And so I go through the client manager and I get to the filing and I submit the e-file there. And then when I go back up and I go to submit e-files, that return is still there. So you want to make sure that you lock your return. Once it's filed, you want to make sure that you lock it. And that's where you would go to your, okay, we're going to install those later. We're going to go to, obviously, I haven't done a tax return in a little while. I took a break. Okay, so here we're going to go to your master information. And, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to actually go to preferences. So in your preferences, these are obviously the columns, and I usually have a lot more that are displayed because I just want to be able to see it. But because you guys are all seeing it, I took all of that out. So, but when we want to go to, oh, miscellaneous here. Okay, so where did it go? Hang on just one second. Okay, one key thing though too. People are always asking me how to go back and forth between, because if you select that you're going to use the Q&A to file a tax return, it will stay in that mode. Let's say you want to go back and do it the old school way. You got to go to, excuse me, into settings, and you're going to change your opening to display the Forms Explorer. That's when you're not being asked any other questions. You're just going through and preparing a tax return yourself using each form. And again, I don't know why anybody would choose not to use the Q&A. It's cut my time in half in preparing tax returns. It generally answers, I mean, it generally asks you almost every question. There might even be where you didn't enter a dependent, but now I'm being asked about child care credit. Yes. Well, so that for situations like that, like I had, I believe somebody asked me about military or whatnot, or we were asked about military. For things like that, it would take, that Q&A would take an hour and a half if every single tax scenario was included there. So it really is very much the main points. You do need to, and that's what our brains are, why they hire us. You do need to remember to search for that, the relocation for military, military housing or whatnot. You need to search for that form yourself. But again, that jump to feature in the help, just a couple of keywords, and the left column is going to give you some information, references, and the right column, that first one's going to be a jump to. So I want to jump to the 8949 form or whatever you want to jump to. You just enter that information and it'll get you right there. Once you enter that and you go back, then in the Q&A, that part of the deduction or the credit or the income is now going to be blue. It's going to be a clickable link. It's been added. So, okay, I wanted to get to, let me just find it. Jay, locking the tax return. I can't remember. I think it is master information. Let's see. I remember you do it once and then you never need to do it again. But just like I said, okay, well, yes, but what I'm trying to say is we want to lock, once you file that return, I can't go back and make any changes to it, because you can. If you don't lock the return, you'll be able to go back and modify something, but it's not going to be the return that was filed. You see what I mean? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Because, hopefully we're all doing so many returns that we don't exactly remember, you know, I got an email the other day with somebody who wanted to talk about, you know, what I can do better for next year. And I could not remember at all what she did for a living. So yes, yes. So that's the key to the lock. Once it's been accepted, well, once it's been submitted. So you'll get that status where it is, right? It's submitted, awaiting acceptance. Then you either get accepted or rejected, and it will lock it once it's been accepted. Yes. Okay, so I am being told that we got to wrap it up, but I'm just going to tell you like I said, my absolute favorite feature that I hope that you guys didn't know about and I just blew your minds is that jump to feature, because I don't want to have to go and search for the form myself. You know, we've got tons of forms and they're all in numerical order. And so now you got to go all the way down to the 8,000s to get to that form. Just go straight to the help, straight to jump to. Exactly. But the jump to, though, the search will bring it up in multiple ways, though. So the search can bring up the form, but when you're in the Q&A and I want to file an extension, just search for extension. And the reason that it wasn't coming up was not the internet. I forgot. You have to minimize that box. Once you click that jump to link, that you have to minimize the box and it's right behind it. So I really think that we should all be giving ourselves a hand. We have gone through we've gone through a lot, and 2025 is right around the corner, and God knows what that's going to bring us, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen, right? I do know that I do appreciate doing less itemized returns. We're all doing the standard deduction, right? Unless you're got a lot of expenses. So anyway, thank you guys so much for participating, for being here today. Like I said, this company, they love nothing more than to hear from you guys, to know what works, what you like, what you don't like. And Jake just gave out his email. I'll give you his phone number if you want. Just come talk to me and we'll get that done. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Naira. Do we have any final questions from anyone?
I think
I
we're
don't
good.
think so. All right. Again, thank you all for being here. This is one of our favorite things that we get to do all year, is be in the room with our customers. You know, Jake and I and Megan, and you know, we get to talk to customers over Zoom throughout the year, but again, being in person with you matters to us. You matter to us. And again, I just want to say thank you.